Hey, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy. It's Shop Talk Tuesday. Thanks for joining, and I hope everything goes well. Had a little technical difficulties. As you can see, I'm off my laptop instead of my camera, which has been technically my phone. My phone's been acting up. So anyway, we're still going to plow through this and figure everything out and address all the issues and everybody's concerns of, well, maybe not address all of them, but we'll definitely talk about a few things here and there. Hopefully you can hear me okay, and hopefully you can see me okay, and hopefully the stream is not going to crack up or what have you. But then again, here we are on Shop Talk Tuesday. And hey, if you're just joining us for the first time, I am Justin. I have a garage shop. And basically my garage. I've been in the industry for over 35 years. Within that 35 years, I've had experiences from a mom and pop shop, Parker Bikes, to a local former chain store called Lee Cyclery. Those are my two big staples, but I had a couple stints in other bike shops in different markets, and also a software program which was also related to the bike industry in a sense of inventory management called Retail Toolkit. So with all those experiences, as well as working in hard retail, big box retail, big pipe sporting goods for several years, this is my opinion piece and my perspective of being in industry and as well as sporting industry for over 35 plus years. And there's like three main big topics I want to try to talk about. My opinion, what I've seen out there. There's been a few videos from other influencers. They're in the description below. One's GC Performance. He's out of Florida. In other words, Go Guava. Those videos came out either yesterday or today, addressing a couple of these things. And I would like to kind of touch base on those and see what I think and what maybe you think too. So feel free to jump in the chat, as well as if you're watching this on replay, please put comments below if you've been affected by these particular topics or scenarios or industry perspectives. And we'll jump in those topics here in just a moment while we're waiting for some others to join in. Sorry, I was a hot minute late due to the fact that my coffee was still in the microwave and I had to bolt and go grab it because, older guys like me, we just live off the thing. Any case, I'm based out of Loveland, Colorado, and I've had my own little garage shop for the last 5 years or more. And it's been an interesting roller coaster ride, as well as a lot of you out there. And the Shop Talk Tuesday has been developed mainly to communicate and develop a community basically around our cycling community, as cyclists, as bike mechanics, as bike shop owners, as people just getting into it. People have been into it for a long time. I'm trying to find a good safe space where we can talk about things and feature different products or work on different bikes, and all those kinds of questions could be addressed. Also, I put in the chat a link to basically a form for me to review if there's anybody wanted to submit a question. If not, just throw something in the chat too, and we'll get around that as well. Didn't have a lot of, I've had a couple of questions, but I didn't have anything that pop up for this particular stream. So in any case, this is a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube and live stream podcast. So sit back, relax, and listen to me jibber jabber. And if you're working on bikes, I hope your repair schedule is fun and not overwhelming. And if you're a cyclist, hopefully you have good weather in your neck of the woods and get out there and do some riding, since the fall in the States here have been pretty decent for some areas. And those who are watching us abroad, the Southern Hemisphere individuals in Australia and New Zealand, I have a few of you I know watch, and I hope your guys' spring is about ready to be sprung. In any case, so here goes the first part of this, and it's basically a rehash of a former topic piece that I used to do. I'm drawing a blank now. As the wheel turns, so the days are our rides. Yes, this is a soap opera industry perspective of the guy from I Know a Guy Bicycles, taking a look at basically the top topics that have been hitting our industry and how it's affecting us in bike shops as well as cyclists in as well. In any case, we're looking at a couple major kind of developments of change of the state. And there's been a big drop of news about Giant being targeted by U.S. Customs about poor labor practice and so forth. We're going to get to that in a minute because there's a couple interesting pieces to that, and what has been kind of changing in our local industry. But the top one I want to start off with is essentially I get a lot of this news through bicycle retailer and industry news, which we call Brain. And that particular outlet really helps us over the decades kind of find those particular topics, industry news kind of thing, and able to talk about those things. The reason being is that's been basically a paper version of this over the last 3 decades. And looking at those particular topics over the last 3 decades has really helped us kind of know what's in the know before the internet kicked in. But now we really rely on the digital version of this as well as the paper print. But this is what we're looking at as the first topic is Pacific Cycles. Pacific Cycles is an interesting little journey. And let's start off of a little bit of history of Pacific Cycles. I lost track where my icon is. Okay, so Pacific Cycles is a company that's made bicycles for essentially big box stores like Walmart, Target, and so forth over the years. And they also were part of the, I think, Durrell company, Durrell Sports, which was just purchased in 2001 here by Pond Holdings. Woo! Back it up. Who the heck is Pond Holdings? Pond Holdings, if you don't know, owns something close to 50 different bike companies, ranging from Cervelo, Santa Cruz, Cannondale, used to be GT, all the way down to, as we see in this article here, Specialized, or not Specialized, that's a slip on words, SCHWINN and Mongoose and Roadmaster, as long as some other ones out there. Well, this one's particular article is specifically targeting the Pond Bike, which is Pond Holdings of Pacific Cycles staffing. Well, they've had a little disruption, and I have a video of this in my library as well, of them basically cutting the line or shelving the line of GT. GT, Gary Turner, bikes have been bought and sold. They were part of this, I believe, Pacific Cycles. And they were shelved because they just didn't see enough income coming out of it, even though they were trying to rebrand it and it looked really good, but it just fell short on their numbers. It's an investment company. And it's an investment company. It's Dutch, and they own really big companies out there. They're affiliated with Caterpillar, I believe Porsche, Audi, possibly. They have some warehouse or distributing Volkswagens. They're pretty darn big. So that particular company owning a lot of bicycles, and they dived into this in the last 15, 20 years. And they've been doing pretty good with it. And they've also dived into retail. And they have retail locations under the name of Mike's Bikes. So they're kind of doing the same thing as Trek with retail front locations. They're doing a whole conglomerate of brand ownership as a big investment company. So they have their fingers in a lot of different things. And with a lot of big companies, they have enough money and weight to try things out, throw it on the wall. And if it fails, they cut it. So this is one of the scenarios where they're going to reduce the workforce for the second time in 3 years. The cycling industry has been going through a lot of disruption over those particular points. And again, this is something that is not unexpected because a lot of companies have been doing a lot of adjustments. But it's another telltale sign of how the industry is behaving or basically responding to the current market, as well as a lot of other underlining things that have been a big disruption, like tariffs and government policies and so forth. Try not to get too much into the political portion of this, but in any case, these particular brands, SCHWINN and Mongoose, they're primarily at Walmart, Target, some of the big box sporting good retailers like Dick's Sporting Goods, as well as Academy Sports, I believe, may have like a Mongoose. Roadmaster, I haven't seen a Roadmaster in decades, but in any case, they're not doing so well to the point where they need to reduce. Is this one of those things where they need to reduce to keep the company going? Most likely not. They may be reducing staff or departments where they will absorb in different parts of their companies for this. We're going to go through a huge reorganization for the next 3 to 5 years as these companies are navigating and going forward. As in the United States, products being sold, the tariffs are a scary thing for a lot of these companies to try to do forecasting and so forth. And Pond Holdings is a global company. As I mentioned before, they're huge. Therefore, they're going to try to navigate around those particular scenarios, and prices that we're seeing have been going up, and they're probably going to continue to do so, even from the Walmart brands to the big box brand, or to the big brands out there like their Cibello and Canada and so forth, which we've already seen. So that's the first bullet here. I'm talking about specific cycles, and which just give you a little more clarity of who owns them. And I do have videos of Pond Holdings, so you can get a little more insights of their inner workings and what they have. But that's one of those telltale signs. So that's one of the lighter, I want to say lighter, those who are losing their jobs are not doing great here. But that is kind of an adjustment that we're looking at for sure. So that being said, hopefully those individuals that do get cut can find work in other parts of the cycling industry and recover from that. But it could be kind of harsh for sure, especially for a lot of those companies where you have the market's not that great here in the States, and job market included. So if you do get cut, it might be something you have to reevaluate your life and readjust to go a different direction or work for a different company. That's not something you enjoy doing. All right. Fretless Ed, hey, thank you for joining me. Thanks for chatting in. Oh, you were in a truck store yesterday, and they were really leaning into e-bikes more than ever. Yep. E-bikes is the only thing that's selling for a lot of these shops. Yes, I mean, it's still a growing market. I even have customers that are buying e-bikes from local shops here, and they're having me sell their non-e-bikes for them, kind of thing, which is not something I advertise, but they're good customers that doing service. And it's one of those situations where I can help them out, recover some of the costs or losses, or however you want to look at it. But yeah, e-bike is probably within the Trek Specialized, Pond Holding, Mike's Bike Stores, as well as a lot of independent bike dealers out there. That is one of their only selling units at this time. And they probably have still quite a bit of inventory of those units because they haven't flushed them all out yet for being on sale and so forth. They had a pretty big, heavy inventory on those. They built them up before any of the tariffs or those issues here in the States. And there's also a big market, as well as expanding market in other European, South America, and other places. It's still somewhere where they have opportunities for growing. And that's going to be the corporate Kool-Aid to all their staff, saying this is what we need to sell. And it's basically a SWOT. Sell what is available today. So that's one of those situations where retail is just going to try, the retail portion of selling goods is going to try to sell what they have. And it is still a market where there is still a few rebates out there. They are starting to dry up for us here in the States, but that doesn't haven't really completely stopped people from buying those. We'll see though, because a lot of those rebates did expire at the end of last month. And it'd be interesting to see how going forward into the winter months without those additional little $400, $500 kicks to help you get into e-bike is going to affect that. Also, it's going to affect EV vehicles as well. So in any case, thanks for chiming in and thanks for putting in that little bit there. In any case, without further ado, I need to get out of the homework part and push this. This is brought to you by Merida Bikes, where you can find bicycles that won't break the bank. Great brands like Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings to extend that adventure starting now. Yeah, Merida Bikes is one of the sponsors of this, of my basically YouTube, and yeah, they provide lower price bikes. So something to look into. In any case, drum roll to the next topic. And this one's kind of an interesting sting. This actually follows up on the big topic of giants. And what am I talking about? That is, well, we'll just show you. Hold on here. I need to pull it up as we are pulling it up. This has a little bit of depth to it, so this might take a little bit of time to get through. But if you're listening in, I hope you're enjoying the podcast version of this. But as reference, I have a link of this below in the description, or not? Under the description. Merida opts to zero free policy for migrant workers in Taiwan. This is off of the heels of Giant getting slapped by U.S. Customs with cease bringing in products into the United States. Not sure if that's completely stopped yet or whatever. There's a lot of in-depth details on that, which if you want to watch my video from last week, we do discuss that pretty thoroughly, as well as my latest video on just Giant and what they're going through. Well, as a small recap, Giant got in trouble, or basically it's U.S. Customs got them in trouble by this article that was released. I think it was a Swedish article about labor conditions for contract migrant workers going into Taiwan. And that's where Merida is trying to cut off, get ahead of it, really, because they see what Giant is going through and their competitors. Giant is the largest bike manufacturer in the world. Right next to them, second largest bike manufacturer in the world, or in Taiwan. And they produce a lot of bikes as well, and a lot of big brand bikes too. Merida and Giant do a lot of OEM products, and they do not really like to tell whose products that they're making, but sometimes you can find out through the weeds of who is what. But in the years past, both Giant and Merida have made Trek, Specialized, and various other brands of bikes, and either from frames to parts to some componentry. But some, the main componentry of Shimano, SRAM, and Campagnolo is their own company, is separate. There lies the complicity of this, because bicycles are complicated to put together. Because the manufacturer, like Trek or Specialized, they design and create the frame and fork, and then they spec, meaning they buy all the other parts, stems, bars, whatever else, wheels, to go on their bikes, and componentry, shifting, and so forth from other companies. So it's basically a collage to build up any bike for the most part, unless it's the lower end ones where they're all stamped out in one factory. But most cases on the upper end, anywhere I would say anything above $500 in US dollars, is probably a hodgepodge of parts from several different companies. So therefore, Merida, as a leader of assembling and boxing up bikes to be shipped over to the United States, they are not wanting to have the disruption of U.S. customs, as well as global public opinion, which is another huge piece that's weighing on these companies because they're already having a hard time. Giant and as well as Merida is reported in the last month to the year of having either loss of profit, loss of sales, units going down, all the bad of the bad on the bad compounded on more bad. This did not come at a great time for them. There's a lot of chatter about why did U.S. Customs decide to do this now? Who knows? I'm not going to get into that, but it's basically the genie's out of the bottle. Then now they're going to have to address it regardless. So this is what Merida is doing. And basically, Giant did this ish back in January before even this hit, is basically have zero fees. Okay, just to knock it down to the nutshell for you, if you haven't heard about this or quite understand it, it's basically the migrant workers going from other countries into Taiwan, working for Giant and Merida and various other companies. They're basically a company that headhunts these people to get them into their country and back into those companies to work. They're basically kind of like a job finders, right? Here in the U.S., companies that are like, let's say like a medical company, or a hospital will hire companies to go find particular workforce to work in, but they usually pay from the company. Well, these sub companies or workforce companies make, instead of the company that they're providing the services for, they're actually charging the employees, the migrant workers coming in. So that's really not proper and also illegal in the United States. So that's not what happens here. But their international law, it's a big slap on the hand. So they've been trying to change this or address it is for a while now. But basically, it got into the big headlines, and U.S. Customs, United States, is the first one to really just slap them on the hands, going, yeah, if you've done these changes, you better say you've done. So there lies Merida trying to do a move to, from here on out, not charging it, take on the costs of those employees for this company to bring in these migrant workers to work in Taiwan. We're talking like 270,000 individuals coming into Taiwan to work in their factories to provide products and so forth for us in the States and globally. So it is a pretty big deal. And with that being said, they're trying to, they know they've been doing bad, most likely, over these years. And now it's something they have to address, regardless of how their financial situation is. They better get ahead of this, or it's going to cost them a lot more down the line. And if they get ahead of it and have a positive light, they may look better than Giant, so they might be able to steal some business too. This is a huge PR nightmare for Giant, and it's a PR nightmare or challenge for all these other companies in Taiwan as well as globally if they're not doing best practices. So what they've done is they decided to have no fees and pay back and have all the reimbursements to former recruited employees by October 25th. That is pretty aggressive and quick. That being said, they're doing everything they can to get ahead of it, and Giant is kind of they're doing other things to try to combat it, but they're a little bit slower to the punch. So I think Merida may have an opportunity here to leverage it to help their company over Giant. But any case, it's pretty tough. And you haven't heard about Merida. Merida, it has their own bike lines. If you're out of the United States, you've heard of Merida as a bike line. They have just like Giant, they have their own bike lines, carbon, roads, so forth. You'll see, I don't know if you saw them on a tour, but you see them on other race circuits and so forth. And then they're a pretty big line. But then again, they're OEM. And guess what company that they do own and publicly do announce, say they do own a percentage of 35% of Specialized Bikes. So Specialized Bikes got in trouble about 20 years ago. They needed some financial help. Merida backed them, and they've been basically hand in hand. Even though Specialized is its own company here in the United States, it still has strong ties and financial responsibility to Merida. And Merida did release a few months back, which I have a video on in my library, regards of them blaming basically the retail locations that Specialized has expanded, and that's cost them a pretty big chunk of money as an investment, and they're retracting. Yes, they're closing Specialized stores or shrinking or keeping the most profitable ones, however you want to look at it. Trek is not, they're in the same boat in that perspective. They are definitely reducing locations and keeping the ones that are actually more profitable, restructuring. Part of Trek, I believe, and I hear say on that was part of their design of basically flood the market and retract where it doesn't make sense. I'm not sure if Specialized had the power or the plan of doing that same scenario, but they were definitely aggressively buying shops and converting. And they're under InCycle and various other names, so you won't see the Specialized corporate stores as prominent as you do with Trek. But that's the Merida bit of how they're all trying to get ahead of this huge labor problem. And you can look at it as like a huge disruption, of course. It's a massive disruption on top of a whole bunch of challenges that the industry is dealing with. But if they get ahead of it, that might help. But what I see or how I feel about it, it's shining a light on something that should have been addressed a long time ago. As a consuming society in the United States, we like to buy a lot of stuff and keep buying stuff, but we want cheap stuff. We don't want to pay the more price to it unless there's some kind of a Kool-Aid value that we want to, or feel comfortable purchasing it for. So those particular outlets in China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Cambodia, and various other places that are producing a lot of these bikes and parts and accessories and stuff that we use, you got to know through just news cycles over the last 4 decades that some of these places are not a great place like to live. The human conditions are harsh, a lot of crime, there's little civil wars. I mean, all these things, right? So I was kind of jaw dropped when I saw Cambodia being stamped on a lot of Trek bikes when they were coming in a few years back. I was like, you're kidding me. Wow, I didn't even know that they're starting to bloom another country. And that's where, China and Taiwan was for decades now, we're relying on for cheaper products to be made and shipped over. And now they're leveraging, Giant and Merida are leveraging Vietnam and Cambodia as their cheaper labor force. So what I would like to see, and I think the most humane thing, since the bicycle industry or bicycles are complex to a point where 2/3 of it are usually made in different factories, that Giant and Merida have to take the responsibility on themselves too for wherever they're buying their stuff from, what other companies, and audit and make sure they are doing the right humane thing for their labor force. On top of that. So that leads to like Trek released and a couple other companies released like Impact, our Resilient Impact report, basically trying to lower emissions, better materials and all that. And that's great and fine and dandy. And it's like a warm hug that they're trying to say, hey, we're trying to do things good for the environment. And, we're a sporting goods company, and we know we're partially responsible of, bringing all these products and having them built. And we want to be mindful of where the aluminum's being sourced and how it's being produced, and it's a lower emissions and all of that. I mean, this goes deep. Well, They need to do that for the labor force portion of it. Because what is the biggest cost of any company? There is labor. I mean, it's your payroll. And that does carry over to all these other countries that are building all these different parts and so forth. So now Merida and Giant are going to have to pay for their headhunting companies that get in 270,000 employees or more or less to work in their factories from other countries as migrant workers. Now they're going to have to pay for it because these companies are trying to like, oh, we're a sweetheart deal. We'll provide these companies, but we'll make the employees pay, which is not right. But that's going to be a pretty good cost and a line item. And that is going to go directly to the cost of the products and how they're going to be made and how much they're going to cost be made. So yes, that just means prices are still going to go up. If they're going to absorb it, it's one thing. Can they absorb it? It's another. To sustain and keep on going forward. And then again, this is an opinion piece. I'm a bike mechanic in a garage. These are the companies I've been buying from for years. From various companies I've worked for, as well as my parents' bike shop. We were a Trek dealer, and I think Giant was producing some of their stuff back then, although a lot of the Trek stuff was being built in the United States. But, the bars and the stems and Shimano componentry and Suntour componentry and SRAM, which is now which formerly known as a conglomerate of companies like Grip Shift and Rack Shack and all them. So it is. I mean, if you think about it and you're like, man, there's a lot of, just look at the bike. I mean, if you're a bike mechanic, look at the bike that you have in your stand you're working on. You're like, where all those parts are coming from. They're not all coming from in one spot. I mean, they're not all made and manufactured. And then you got the whole raw materials, how all the raw materials are coming from. On top of that is another layer. So in any case, it's just a huge, huge mess. And that makes it challenging for Merida and Specialized and all the other companies that Merida builds parts, bikes, frames, pieces for. So it is a huge thing. And is it the right time? Well, too late. But is it? I think it's regardless of how you feel of if we're attacking a company as a country or, whatever the case may be, or if U.S. Customs is handling this well, now it's already out where we're going to go from here, where Trek, the CEOs and the heads of Trek and Specialized and various other even Pon, Pon Holdings, all those department heads are going to have how is this going to affect us? What should we do about this? It's not that you just whatever, because if U.S. Customs decides they're okay, we're going to shut Merida down. Well, any Merida bikes that are coming in the United States, they're not going to allow. Well, that's just the Merida brand, or is that all the OEM product from other companies like Specialized is going to be held up? So it's going to be interesting play, and it's something that I didn't see coming. I don't think anybody saw this coming. The tariffs are definitely a disruptive piece of this, but now you have this, and it's not, I don't think, directly retaliatory to China, but I don't know. Although Giant does have factories in China, and I believe Merida may have too. So there is a big piece to this that we may not know everything of it. If you do enough research on it, you'll probably find. But was that going to affect us mechanics and bike shop owners? Products may get disrupted. We may not get them, that kind of thing. And secondary for the consumer, if you want that specific Giant tire or Giant bike right now, or that carries over to Merida and Specialized or other companies, and we start shutting them down too, that might be a huge disruption of products coming into the United States. I would say the silver lining of that, the majority of our products have already here for going into the beginning of the season. So that's a side note of inventory that is produced, put on boats, and hit the customs and goes into warehouses. A lot of that inventory is already hit between July, August, and September into those to fill up those warehouses for the next season. It's still a seasonal piece, even though this streamed out a little bit here in the States, but it's still a seasonal thing. So majority of that inventory is already here for what they're projected to sell, if they could have even figured that out for 2026. But the next shipment and batch of orders that should be coming in January, February, March to fulfillment for the season, that might be disrupted. That if it's not fixed up or cleared up and what have you, are they? I don't foresee right now huge containers of giant product just sitting on the docks in the United States, and they're trying to figure out, are they going to send it back? Are they going to destroy it? Or what are they going to do with it? I don't see that happening. It's more of like, this is the time we're going to pop you with this, and you better figure it out before it really cripples your companies functioning within the United States. And this is not such, even though the United States Customs is the part of this, it's actually such a big stink. It's a global, and now you're in a public opinion realm as a company. So your PR is like scrambling, doing everything they can to try to get ahead of it, figure it out, make it right, whatever the case may be. So it's huge. It's just huge. It's crazy. Just crazy. All right, let's double check and see what we have in the chat. Randy, thank you for joining the party. Woohoo! It's Tuesday. We made another week. Yeah, you're not too late. Actually, you're earlier than you usually are. And you're never late when you're right. You're always on time. Let's just put it that way. But thanks for joining us here. He's a little shop owner doing his thing and sells and service. I think they're our community. Bike shop community up in Canada, north of us. It's awesome. Welcome. Let's see here. Analog bike shops are suffering because of overstocking that was forced on them. And the electronic bike shops have a similar problem as well. Yeah, well, we've had a compound of, forever COVID's just been one hellacious roller coaster ride, having too much stuff, not enough stuff, being forced too much stuff. We still have a lot of stuff. It's still there. It may not be the right stuff, but we do have a lot of inventory still stockpiled up here that will start depleting, but the market is not flourishing. So the stuff that we do have is not selling fast and quickly as much as the big companies would want. So it's going to be there for a little while. So that's kind of okay-ish. But yeah, the e-bike push is huge. If you're not part of that, if you're a bike shop, you're not doing e-bike, service and that kind of thing, you really need to start looking into that. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. There's some shops that are doing fantastic with it. Josh at Precision E-Bike in Fort Collins. He's a little small shop like me, but he does have brick and mortar, but it's just about the size as my garage. And he is just going busy, crazy. And it's great. And I saw a video today, Go Guava. It's linked in the below. He's a shop that opened up about 1.5 years ago, and he does a whole bunch in Pennsylvania. So if you're in the neck of the woods, definitely go check them out. They do a lot of e-bike, e-scooter service, and that's what he's been saying. He did over 1,000 repairs this summer, this season, between two guys. So that's telling you a tell of where the industry's shifted to a lot of service. And new bike and newer stuff is definitely dropped. So when you look at some of those shops that do mostly just high-end stuff and new and less service, they're going to be changing or haven't already changed. Their basically business model. Basically, my business model has changed several different times in the last 5 years, and I'm on a micro scale. So these bigger guys are just like done some major shifts and changes and so forth, or had to. Big time for sure. We're seeing the reader distribution e-bikes. Yeah. So talking sales and service, when you're talking about a lot of undercutting pricing, it's just there. There's not much we can do about that. It's been there since whenever performance and Nash bar became a thing and Colorado cyclists became a thing. It's like the undercutting of pricing has been there. It's just more, you, as a shop, you got to kind of figure out what's your community, and your community will buy from you. But it's not going to be high volume of parts, especially if it's a part that's being undercut by, or bikes being undercut online. And that's a very tricky slope. And I believe in Canada, it's a little bit different how you are structured of inventory. I think you have to do your bookings a lot sooner and carry a lot more inventory throughout the year. You don't have as many warehouses being supporting the market like we hear having in the States. So it's more of an upfront. That's with my experience with Retail Toolkit. We had a couple of clients in Canada, and that's where they were explaining to me. It's like, yeah, we have to do preseason orders and bring the stuff in and warehouse it because it's not being warehoused by those particular companies. So it's an interesting difference. And then that puts you in a pigeonhole situation when you did a whole bunch of purchasing early, and then all of a sudden the prices drop or that company's dumping them and go direct to consumers. Just a huge deflation in an independent bike shop. So what is the independent bike shop going to have to do? A lot more service and build their communities, and basically not be so reliant on big company names. Basically, don't be the brand is you. It's not Trek, Specialized, Giant, whoever else like they used to be with concept stores. Any case, that's what we've got going on there. Idaho Fat Tire Bike Fun. Hey, thanks. Welcome back. Yeah, thanks for chiming in. Yeah, in your opinion, the used muscle-powered bike repair and purchases market will do really well. I mean, yeah, e-bike has its own market, but this is my interesting perspective is it's the expanding market. It's expanding. You still have a huge market of the rest of us, most of us that like to pedal power, me power. And I've been really busy, and a lot of shops have too, that are just not e-bikes. So a lot of people are in this situation here in the States and are repairing and working on their older stuff because they're not ready to buy new because they're afraid of the market, the job security, all those things that make you not want to buy something. And it's like, okay, maybe I'll just spend $100 on the current bike and we'll just, do that for another year. Or we get rid of a car and then we just fix up a bike for commuting, or all those different things. So the service is basically the whole spectrum of service, but some of those who are really relying on bike sales need to have that service department pick up more money, where e-bike service is on the table to pick that up. That's if you're ready to invest into that, for sure. Opposition e-bike, Josh, thanks for joining in. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah, it seems to still be growing on the e-bike front for sure. And there needs to be a lot, sales and services. There needs a lot of more standardization of batteries and motors and all that for safety, not just here in the States, but globally, because nobody wants to lose their house over a bike in their garage. I'm not insured for it, so I don't store or have e-bikes as a service part of my business model. If it needs to come to that direction, I need to address that. I will change that, of course. But as it sits, as a Idaho Fat Tire mentioned, like regular service is so abundant right now. I'm not undercutting other of my shops locally either. I mean, they're just busy as well. So I got my own little community. I'm building it up, and my footprint is way bigger than my local bike shops because I draw people from South Denver, which is an hour and a half to 2 hour drive either direction, north up into Wyoming. They come and have me work on their stuff. And that's prior to my marketing through YouTube, in the sense of my social media footprint is huge, that they see me and they want me to work on their stuff, which is great. So however you want to leverage that, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride in that perspective for sure. Absolutely. Let's see here. I'm going to butcher this. Plantia Sicilimos. Thank you for joining us. Greetings, brother, from Florida. Florida! Hopefully it's the not so scary gator Florida. No, there's not. The only part of Florida I've been is Tallahassee. And we went to it's the northern part, which is the state capital, right? Big college town, that kind of thing. My wife had family there. Anyway, fun place, definitely. A few days on Instagram. What are we looking at there? And asked you about a price on the carbon OCLV. Oh yeah, the on older carbon OCLV. Yeah, that was a great question. I should have wrote that down for my questions for later. But anyway, I think pardon me if I didn't address it. I thought I did, but if I did respond, I'm getting so bombarded with emails and so forth. It takes me about like a week to get to a lot of them or responding to them in a proper manner. OCLV pricing. If you don't know what OCLV is, basically it's a Trek bike, and the carbon that was being made in the United States is called Autumn Compact Low Void, OCLV, and that was their branding of carbon. And the Kool-Aid they were pushed all the way up to 2007 and so forth. That's where a lot of the Lance Armstrong bikes were being raced on, was on that OCLV carbon, that kind of thing. He, I think, reached out and was asking about bike pricing. What would they be at? So in my market, where I don't know how many millions of people, a lot of people live here, and a lot of them are cycling enthusiasts. So there's a lot of bikes, and there's a big, huge bike market. So in my bike market that I'm in with the used, I've been seeing full carbon bikes from OCLV Trek versions of those running between 300 to 500. And you'll still see a few a little bit more, but they're overpriced. I'm not going to sell or whatever. So that's the gist of most of the OCLV carbons, and the ones that have the postal team stamp from Lance Armstrong Racing, those are a little bit more, just because of the postal sticker. They have a little more of a following and that kind of thing. So that was a great question and great pricing, because pricing is weird, and it's probably pretty close in your neck of the woods in Florida. I know you have a lot of Treks down there, because there's David's World was the big monster Trek Trek drinking Kool-Aid. Now they're Trek corporate because they were bought by Trek, but they were one of our retail toolkit clients. So mass numbers of bikes. That was before America Cycles went out of business. They were temporary, short company of ours in Florida. So apparently Florida is a huge cycling community. I mean, obviously the weather is a lot nicer in there, but it's a very aggressive market too. There's a lot of bike shops down there. Lots. But thank you for chiming in, and thank you for the question, for sure. What takes more time? Oh, David, thank you for joining us. What takes more time? What takes more of your time, working on the bikes or working on your videos? That's an interesting question. That's a good one. I'm pretty quick on working on bikes, but I like to take my time now. I don't do volume. It's more quality over quantity. So I do take my time. So I'm still pretty efficient and quick, just by a muscle memory of working on bikes, unless I get hung up on something tricky that needs to be addressed. The videos definitely take me longer, just because I'm a bike mechanic trying to do YouTube. And at first, editing videos, I do apologize. They're crappy, and it sounds bad, and lighting's horrible, and all the learnings, and it just takes time. And I got a lot more efficient of editing and producing. But put an example, I just did a video on one of the Specialized Roubaix Classic bike. I just shot the video, worked on it over the weekend. The bike was in for a super tune-up with the ceramic coating, so it carried over about 4 days. But I didn't work on it solid for 4 days. Let's put it that way. It's just like a little bit here and here and here. And also shot the video on that. Shooting the video part of it doesn't take long, unless you're doing the technical piece by piece putting together. But that being said, a piece by piece, you know, if you, that gets you in the editing room, it takes you a lot longer to edit to make it look nicer. Well, then you learn when you do a lot of videos that those, you start like when you're shooting it, you're like point A to point B quick and you stop. So, you know, in the editor room is a lot faster to edit it. And you kind of think that flow while you're doing it. It's practice and repetitive practice. It does take a lot longer. So back to your original question. Okay, the tune-up itself, as in time itself, is probably a 5 hour to 6 hour. Let's say 6 hours to actually do physical work on that one tune-up. It's like, you know, the overhaul thing with ceramic coating and all that, wax chains and everything. So about 6 hours of the actual labor for working on the bike. Shooting the editing and promoting and making thumbnails and all that stuff, probably equal to at least 3 to 4 hours on that one. Then you have other stuff on top of that. Can you make videos a little bit easier and faster? Sure. But when you're looking at the long content videos and so forth, that makes it a little bit harder. When you're doing live streams like this, a little bit less, about an hour or two of prep and maybe an hour or two afterwards of doing that, but you have a lot more content to work with. And then shorts are a lot quicker. And I learned some new tricks on shorts where I can upload them a little bit easier, a lot faster, which actually my 9-year-old daughter taught me how to do. So there's always something new to learn. And I would say the social media presence of trying to get passive income and all that is about half of my business. And the other part is actually working on bikes and selling products and shooting pictures for inventory to be posted. So about split at this point, about half my time. And how much I work, it's not 40 hours. It's about double that. I just love doing what I'm doing. So even on my, I would say technically a day off, I still put in like 6 to 8 hours between getting up, checking emails, doing some stuff for a few hours, and we do some family things, and I come back and do. It's just now part of my daily life. That's how I breathe it, which, you know, can get a little overwhelming sometimes, but that's where I'm trying to pace things out. So it's a little less stress. I don't have as many videos going out a week. It's a little more like 1 or 2, maybe, that kind of thing, getting more of a steadier pace that it won't crush me. But for the first year I did it, it about killed me. I mean, doing so many videos and trying to keep business. And I did feel that on the deficit side of not focusing on making money, trying to go after the maybe money. That was pretty hard on financially, but I was able to flip it and we're on the right trajectory now. So that was part of the ebb and woes of the last 5 years. It's insane. Crazy, insane stuff. But great question, David. Thank you. I'm not a complete 100% influencer now. I'm about 50% influencer now. But you know, at some point that will scale, and hopefully it gets to a point where I like editing videos and making videos and stuff. I just need them to make me more money. Which, you know, where let's just talk about that. You know, that's a great segue of how does an influencer make money? Well, one of the avenues of making money is Amazon, and you don't have to have the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours on YouTube to become monetized and make money through YouTube. You can do this with a lower lift and get monetized through Amazon. Granted, it doesn't make you a lot of money, but it's passive income. In other words, once you set it, you forget it, and hopefully it makes you money. So you can incorporate these products within your videos that you work on, or you can actually do videos on the products themselves through Amazon, which I'm just now starting to get into, where you can make a little bit of affiliate money from there. Another passive low income. So as in the big Amazon Prime deal day, please go below in my description, click my Amazon store to start your journey of looking for your Amazon stuff. Start here. And why I say that is here's the win for me is you go there, you click on anything, or even just on the store, then you go shop for whatever you want to go shop for the week or the day, as long as it's within the cookie trail on the back end, stays, I think, for at least 24 hours. So whatever you purchase after going through my either link or through my Amazon store, I get a credit for. Then that's just a little line item, 10 cents here, 20 or $1 here or there, whatever you purchase. But that goes towards me that's the influencer part. So the hopes is over a period of time, that will get scaled up enough where it becomes, right now it's buying me, lunch, maybe taking my wife out for dinner. But it's scaled up to that point, but there's opportunity that over a certain amount of time, that's where that influencer part, you can actually make, decent money at. So there's my influencer bit. Well, thanks you for asking. Gave me an opportunity that's one of many. And that's the thing, you don't ever, if you're looking into doing something like this and you're looking for passive income, it's not just one you should shoot for, shoot for as many and just see which ones work for you and see which ones are good. I haven't even gotten into brand deals yet. That's another whole part where all these people get a brand deal, like a company comes to you and says, we will give you X amount of dollars to make so many videos and that kind of thing. I haven't got to that level yet. Or I am at that level. I just haven't pursued it yet. I'm just so busy working on bikes. And then again, I mean, a tune-up, actually I make more on a tune-up than any of these influencers individually, but it's the idea is over a period of time that help offset and basically it pays for itself. Therefore, I don't have to rely on so much on physical tune-ups coming in my door, that kind of thing. But anyway, I love working on bikes, so I'm not going to stop working on bikes, and I'm not going to shut my doors like somebody else up in Wisconsin did. I mean, I don't think I'll ever do that because I really like my customers. My local customers are great. They're awesome. And I love helping them out. And it's more like a community feel versus I'm still providing that service that they need. And it's more of a community based. And they support me and in that way. And as you watching this on YouTube or, I think I'm still on Facebook, but in any case, it's still streaming on Facebook. It's that's how you kind of can support me or other influencers is going through their affiliate links. Therefore, I'm not asking you for money straight up front. It's like, hey, pay me money. I'd rather have you get something. I just get a little bit of a cut from somebody else. You're going to go get that tire, tube, or bike tool. Give me support your influencers by that way. That's how you work that around or work that per se. All right, we're still talking about topics, the latest in the news. Got one more for you. This one I kind of just glanced over, and I think a lot of people glanced over too, and it's a short article in Bicycle Retailer. And I get a little timestamp is now I'm repurposing some of these so I can make it easier. In any case, so what we have here is an article out of Bicycle Retailer, and it's sad news. It's another company that's in the United States. I just saw another article just launched. It's just weird. Okay. Unfortunately, another company that just didn't make it in the United States. And to me, I mean, I'm for manufacturing in the United States when it makes sense. It doesn't have to be everything, as long as it makes sense, or good quality products and so forth. So U.S. carbon rim manufacturer CSS Composites is closing. You may or may not know that if you're buying bikes with carbon wheels and what have you, maybe white labeled. This is a company that white labeled their rims, carbon wheels, to these various companies. So we got Bontrager, Rival Bikes, Evil Bikes, and Chris King. Chris King is, hubs and known for headsets and bottom brackets, and they had wheel sets, which they didn't make the rims, so they probably had carbon rims made for them, as well as a Bontrager. Okay, Bontrager is a Trek product. Let's just get that straight. I saw a video that launched yesterday, and the individual was making it sound like Bontrager was its own entity company. It is not. Trek brought Keith Bontrager in-house in the 90s, and he had a steel line. And I know this because you see a banner right behind me of Bontrager, right there. We picked up, as a Trek dealer, we picked up Bontrager, and we carried their steel bikes. They manufactured their steel bikes for a couple of years. They're out of Santa Cruz. Yeah, Santa Cruz. Got to look at the banner behind me. Look at that, Santa Cruz, California. USA made frames. It was kind of cool. Keith has been in our industry, several different industries, for a long time. Before that, I didn't realize how old he was until he retired. So last year I have a video of it that Bontrager basically retired. He was done. Done working at Trek. I want to go do fun things with my life and not live in Wisconsin and go somewhere else. And he's done his time. But Keith Bontrager, the Bontrager name has been used on products through Trek for good 2.5 decades easily. So when you look at the Bontrager here, that just mainly means Trek. And Trek has been phasing out a lot of the Bontrager name and a lot of their products. Although they did keep a few tires and possibly the carbon wheels, this is OEM. So when you're looking at this article, and unfortunately, this company basically did an abrupt belly up. In other words, people were having problems getting warranties done and so forth, and all of a sudden, boom, lawyers come out, we're going bankrupt, we're selling all our machinery, it's done. So these companies, not knowing really if they were really involved with CSS Composites currently, because a company like this, when they start getting crippled and they start going down a downturn, it sounds abrupt, but this may have been a lingering issue over the last 2 to 3 years, especially with all the constant economical changes and disruptions that we've had in the last 2 years. And not just hasn't been in 9 months. It's been over a couple of years of problems with the cycling industry. So these companies, Trek, Bontrager, Rival Bikes, they have their own little story there. And I do have a video, I believe, of theirs. They were sold to an investment company, drove into the ground, and the original owners bought it back. And they are probably not buying because most of their bikes are now being made in Taiwan and being shipped direct to consumers. That's their new business model. So most likely they're not really having any wheels currently on their new mix. Not sure about Evil bikes, how they play, or if they're still buying stuff. But I'm pretty sure Trek, when they did the reduction of their inventory of 40% about 2 years now, or 1.5 years now, that might have been one of those things that reduce it. And then again, they're not building any bikes in the United States. So are they having the wheels built here, then shipped to Taiwan or Cambodia in this case to be assembled and put back on? Or is it an aftermarket product? Not too sure. And I don't think that if they did have anything still, it's very minimal. Chris King is probably the one that was probably affected the most. That would be my assumption, because their products are built here in the United States and that they're probably doing a wheel assembly. Although there's probably several other companies here. What this means to the consumer is those particular rims no longer have a warranty. Those rims, if they still have under warranty, which is usually about 2 years, with these companies like Bontrager, Trek, Rival, or Evil, or even Chris King, those warranties, if they still are valid, those companies are going to either eat the warranty, like, okay, yeah, it's been warranted, or they're not going to get a credit back from CSS. They're just going to have to eat it and provide you a credit or another wheel set from a different manufacturer. Although the volume of this, I don't think for either Trek or Chris King will hurt them. More of a problematic nuisance for the Trek Bontrager Rival bikes, probably not, since they went through a transition back. So a lot of those pre-year warranties may not be valid, or they may have expired by now. Evil bikes, I do not know them very well, so I can't really comment on their state of the state. But I mean, Chris King is probably the one that probably felt the biggest hurt on this. And let's see here. Somebody did, well, Revel Bikes, it did talk about working with CSS a couple years ago, really good stuff, and they had a decline over the time. So, will this hurt? Yes. And it does. It is sad. And, the employees no longer have a job, and I think they're in Utah. And it's, it's one of those situations where it's a company they probably didn't have. I mean, they still had a staff and all of that, but the companies that they sold to are going to have to find other sources of carbon wheels. And if they're trying to produce bikes in the United States, as their current administration is trying to force upon us to do, manufacturing wise, that is not going to work well. You think a company like this would get subsidies and reimbursement to be able to bolster the company and like, oh, we're going to build more stuff here. I don't think we're seeing that, or they're in too troubled times underwater to actually address those issues. And unfortunately, that just kind of there's other couple of companies have went under, and like Univega, they closed the plant. I think it was Univega, or at least Kent International said they closed one of the plants, that there was assembly plant. They were building their bikes. So I'm not sure if it was Univega one or what. I know the brand that they had was Univega, and they were advertised as one of the companies that was building and assembling in the United States. And there's a couple other companies that are doing that now, but it's just it's just a troublesome time. And companies that you'd think that would be able to take advantage, it might be too late for them to be able to take advantage of what is being trying to be directed as our economic or as our manufacturing in the United States. It's always been smart manufacturing. We only want to do the stuff that we know we can do well, and it makes sense. So when you have another entity that's telling you how to do your business, that's causing a huge disruption. So a lot of these companies, are they hurting? As in the videos I've seen mentioned, they're hurting. They might be behind their bills. They're all behind their bills. They're all the investment companies. They're like kicking the can down the road. Hopefully things will start getting better for them. But that's a long road, because what has to improve first is people wanting to buy bikes and the bikes that they're wanting to produce. Because right now, even today, it still sits that they're still only focused on producing bikes that they want to produce, not what the actual market is. They've been forcing the market, in my opinion, they've been forcing the market for the last decade and a half, saying, no, you need this $3,000 bike. You need this $5,000 bike. See how cool it is? But realistically, a company in another country can make the bike at half of that and have it shipped to you. Canyon is one of those companies. And they're having hard times right now too. So when you're looking at all those things, and you would hope, and board meetings that some of these companies go, we need to start producing bikes what the actual cycling communities want. What is that? I mean, chime in the chat, put it in the comments below, but maybe one of these companies will come across us and go, what are they looking for? Well, in my opinion, and what I've heard from my customers, is bikes that are under $1,000 that are actually worth something decent, that shift well, have warranties, and perform and take care of the 80% of the cycling experience out of there. I mean, you have Kent International, or Kent Imports, I forget how it's Kent, and also Huffy has theirs. They've been making bikes, and also Pon, which is the SCHWINN and Mongoose, have been making bikes for the general masses of the United States for decades now. They're the Walmart bikes, they're the Target bikes. If they can make a $300 to $500 bike, okay, follow me here. If they can make a $300 to $500 bike that people are buying in Walmart, shouldn't they be buying that bike in an independent bike shop? A little bit better quality, maybe a little better brand name. You ever heard of a lost leader? to get people into cycling, because I tell you, dollars of donuts, when somebody buys a used bike from me, and they have been cycling for a while, they buy a used bike from me, and let's say it's a Trek bike, and they like it, they have a good experience. I did a great job of fixing it up and fitting them to it, and they're enjoying the ride. You know, the likelihood of them buying another Trek is substantially, extremely higher than buying another brand. I mean, it's really hard to put, like, that Trek did me solid as a used bike. Maybe I need it. And when I decide to buy a new Trek, maybe I should go buy a new Trek. Okay, they did this in the 80s and 90s, and somewhere they lost this whole damn perspective. But that's works. And case in point, I have a set of customers that bought Trek used bikes, or actually they're new or used. They bought used Trek bikes. They love the experience. They are on their 4th Trek bike each. So that's 8 new bikes from the 2 used ones that they bought originally years back. And they're not cheap. They've ponied up. They're up now. They're on the e-bike, the gravel e-bikes, the Checkpoint, not the Checkout, the new doofy full suspension one, which I have a whole bunch of bad opinions about. But the idea is, if these CEO board meetings, okay, we need to bring in a gravel bike that's $600, that's actually decent and it's well assembled, it's ready to go off the showroom floor, and we can start eating or getting the market back from Walmart and Target a little bit. That's going to help them in 3 to 5 years on their upper end bikes. So they want to still keep pushing it down everybody's throat. So that would be, I would assume they would be smart enough to start doing that. And when you're looking at Poseidon Bikes, is a California company, but low end, decent, well branded, well branded. I say it again. They've taken their brand and marketed the living out of it, and it works for them. They even went to the point that I almost wanted to buy one. I mean, like $700, you got a gravel bike? Let's check this out. I mean, yeah, it has like, microshift componentry on it. Although microshift, the same componentry was on the lower end Specialized for double the price. You see where I'm going with this? These companies got to figure, it's like, okay, we need higher volume, lower price point bikes. Well, it's going to be really hard to do now when you have the cost of tariffs and disruption of the companies like Merida and Giant having to pay for more money for their labor now. That's going to bring the price up. So yeah, they're going to have to do some little pencil pushing to figure it out. It's going to have to happen. It just is. Any case. So yeah, sorry to see another company just crash and burn. I do have heartstrings for any company that does have to just close their doors, especially independent bike shops, which I've seen several over the last couple of years do. It's very sad to me. And, I try to provide information here, if all possible, to help give you an idea. Maybe it helps you out. It makes it a little bit easier to navigate your own business or your shop or what have you, to do good for your community, do good for your shop, because we all know it. We're not in it for the money. Never have been. If you did, you're dumb and you're out of business already. I guarantee you. And if you're in it right now and you're thinking you make a lot of money, it's not happening. It's a lot of work, but hopefully at the end of the day, you put a couple smiles on a couple kids' faces, help out a couple avid riders for their cycling journeys, making an impact in your community for health and alternative drive instead of driving, less cars, more bikes, try to fill in the European market of lifestyle. The Brompton clown bikes, I think they're so funny, and I've worked on several of them, and I have a couple of customers that love them. But that's a great thing, as much as I make fun of them, they're a great thing. So it's, hopefully we can, build things like that. And I'm, obviously I'm not in it for the money because I'd be rich now and retired of being in this for 35 years. No, there's been some massive failures and crashes. Lost my parents' shop back in the early 2000s and worked at various other shops and that kind of thing. So my experience is not just in bike shops. It's quite a wide range. And, I try to bring out, information for people to help out. And you leverage social media, which is it doesn't cost, the platforms don't cost. You may have to cost some time and some people to put underneath it. But if you get the passive income portion figured out, it can kind of pay for itself, or you get enough business. Even for me, the dollar amount for the social media presence is not even closely there. It barely pays for, like I said, a dinner with my wife. But over half of my service work is driven by this channel. Let me repeat that. Over half of my service is driven by this. People drive, like they saw me here and they're like, I want you to work on my bike. Sweet. And it's probably 20 to 30% of my sales of bike frames and parts, because I do have people that kind of like, oh, I saw it on YouTube about your stuff. I'm like, sweet. I mean, that in itself is huge. So am I seeing the money in dollar cents right, month to month being cut from AdSense and what have you? No, but I'm seeing it coming in from the actual service part and sales part. So you can leverage that. And if you are even if we're avid cyclists, you can support your own cycling habit. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to shoot a couple of videos of riding, whatever, and make a little money. And you're like, oh, I can now afford that new wheel set that I want to buy from Bicycle Wheel Warehouse.
Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and true. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set where it works for you.
Well, that was a pretty good segue, huh? You had to give me a minute to drink some coffee and see you guys in the chat there. But in any case, there's a lot of opportunities there that you can do. And also, I think we're in a scenario now, like back in the 90s, we had a competition, we had a bike shop across the street or down the road. We had Cottonwood Cycles, that it was our competitor to Parker Bikes. They hated us for some reason. And then, of course, it was a tit for tat. The guy was, he was still a prick anyway. But that attitude back then, what it is today, it shouldn't be there. It should be like, we need to help you out as much as we can help us out, because we still want to, bike shops are shrinking. Independent bike shops are shrinking. Corporate stores are inflating and taking up that. Well, now they're shrinking because they realize they can't do retail well in a lot of markets. So, and now it's either by design, which I've heard hearsay from Trek, but Specialized wasn't, being more strategic about it. But it's one of those scenarios where I think, as in a community, our community should also include other bike shops. Absolutely. Josh at Precision E-Bikes, he's my e-bike guy here locally. So if you're in my foot stamp of area and you need to have your e-bike worked at, I'm just going to tell you to go see him anyway. But I'm telling you right now, that's a place to go to have your battery checked, your motors work, all that stuff, because he's gonna take care of you. And if you accidentally bought something that's junk and you can't get parts for, he's going to be nice about it, but he's going to tell you safety first. A great guy. And I do have a video interviewing him in a shop in my library too. You can look it up in any case. Christine, yes, Christian, thanks for chiming in. And thanks for chiming in about the Shimano. Is that the Shimano recall? The Shimano crankset on the 11-speed Ultegra Endurace warranty replacement knock? I'm assuming it is. Later determined was not covered. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, if they tell you, I mean, I don't know, best practices. If I told you it was a warranty and all of a sudden it's not covered and I did the work, maybe, at least reduce the repair, unless it's extremely repair. But that doesn't sound great. I mean, well, it was a Shimano recall part. And then that's another thing too. These companies, when they feel the pinch, they don't like to take care of warranties as much. It's kind of how it is. I mean, it's more harder to do. You've seen the stories, like you have to basically get your local news agency to get them to kind of do something about certain things, like especially in the medical field, to get claims done for medical. So it's kind of some of the similar things. They don't want to lose product or money. And if they did a mistake, and they're all hurting, and none of these companies are doing okay. So I'm sorry to hear that the Shimano didn't really take care of you there. And maybe it was the shop, but most likely the shop was probably the one that just sent off the parts, and they're like, nope, and they're like, oh, great, that kind of thing. But hopefully the shop took care of it on their end as much as they could. In case. Joe O's channel. Joe is a funny guy in Canada. I love his channel. He is so gritty, down to earth. He just makes me smile every time I see one of your videos. He's just one of those guys that he makes paddles, custom wood paddles. Beautiful. What I've seen, they're beautiful. I used to do woodworking back in the day, and I definitely respect your art. And he also loves to ride. And one of his earlier videos is really funny. Is like him riding on a cold day in Canada. And man, he has so much gear on. he looked like, like in the, what was that? The Christmas Story, the brother walking. I mean, he pretty much had to layer up. But it was just like so down to earth, gritty, having a beer, talking about his ride experience and freezing his keister off in his little shed and a little fire. It was kind of cool. Bring more stuff like that. I love it. It's just like getting insights of your life and your experiences. And I know he's been doing a couple charity type events up there. He's kind of pushing. So he's a cool shop. I would say United States buys paddles, but unfortunately he's in Canada and he's not able to ship to us right now because of various factors that are happening to us right now. Totally understand. I may have to drive across the border and grab a paddle and come back. If ever. And if you do wakeboard paddles, that'd be pretty cool too. Any case, I love woodworking. It's beautiful stuff. But thanks for joining in, Joe. Appreciate it. I figured you're on an influencer now. David, you're so funny. Yeah, I mean, if I have to uproot myself and get deported, at least I can still influence. That's if I can get a Wi-Fi signal wherever I'm at. I know it's a bad joke. Sore subject, in any case. Thank you, Sales and Service. Another great video. Thanks for your hard work making these videos. And for us small shop folks, yeah, I'm here for the small shops, also for bigger ones, independent shops. I worked with some big shops through my travels, and some of them are really good people. And in a lot of shops, I love them because that's where I was born and raised as a bike mechanic, as a small shop, and that's where my heartstrings pull for. And I know how challenging it is and tough it is. I've lived it. Lived it for over a decade. So, and when you work on something so hard and you see eventually fail, it's just horrible. So that's where I'm like, try to give you ideas. Like, wax chains or detail frames or adding better service, or if you're so busy, start raising your prices. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to. I mean, sustain better, income for yourself, better income for your staff, those kinds of things to retain those mechanics, and those salespeople and the people that work for you, become, the community itself. And the shops that I've seen a very successful outcome of that, well, there's two that come to mind. They're in two different parts of the United States. One is Will and Sprocket, family owned, 10, 11 stores. The family are beautiful people. They are just so awesome. I've worked with Noel. He's the one that made the retail toolkit that I worked for. Had several wonderful interactions with this guy. It's one of those things that I'll carry with me forever. And his leadership of trying to provide cycling community, and not just about making money. It's he got some great values from his dad, and so is his sisters are running with them. They're doing great, and they're doing really good for the community out there. And that's in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and also not Milwaukee. I'm sorry, is it Milwaukee? Yeah. And Chicago, they have some stores in there. So they're awesome people for sure. And the second one is Bike Mart in Dallas, Fort Worth. Couple locations, but they mainly had a big one location. And working with them with Retail Toolkit, with the program and all that, I got to know them pretty well. And they're some really cool people, and they do a lot for their community as well. So it's not just, if you build it and you get a little bit, there's a lot of luck in that for them to get to where they're at. But if you put the right things and do the right things and a little bit of luck, you can make your business a little bit better. And you don't have to shoot to be the big conglomerate store. I mean, just shoot to be happy and have some time to do fun stuff, and also ride your bike that you've been working on everybody else's. That's the thing. So you got to find that good life work balance. Is that social media to help you do that? Could be. Is it other things in your business to help you to bolster and build up your business through different services or event rides or all those different things? You can. There's plenty of opportunities out there to do those things. It's just, you need to put the wrench down sometimes and not just be in the heat of the moment all the time, and sit back and give it a minute and think about, or see or communicate with those in your niche, your community. And the community could be me. I mean, I'm like maybe thousands of miles away from you, but I might be the one that might give you that idea, or like, hey, why don't you try this? This might help out to make it a little bit easier on you. So in any case, I mean, it's one of those scenarios where some of those bigger shops, they take care of their community. Wheat Ridge here is the one that comes to mind. Although I think the family eventually sold out, but still under the same kind of momentum of their building the brands. The Kiefels is the ones that owned it originally. So I think they're still keeping that thrive alive and community base. So when you're smaller, it's hard and you want to be there, but your patience runs out, or your body breaks down, or your money dries up. But if you're, and again, those are a few very select that actually did really well. Not to say that you can't. You can. It might be a different direction than you think. So Go Grava is a good example of a bike shop that's doing really well. I'm going to stamp this because I want him to see it. 2816 Go Grava. He opened a shop up in Pennsylvania a year and a half ago, and he had this vision and did the homework of what his bike shop was going to be. A year and a half later, he can tell you straight out, and he has videos on it saying it totally went a different direction than he anticipated. He's doing a lot more service than sales on bikes, and e-bikes is, in his market, is the biggest need. with that biggest need, he has been addressing e-bikes and scooters and working on batteries and motors and all that, which he's definitely laid out in his video. Doing over 1,000 repairs in the last 6 months or so. He is definitely doing the physical part of it, and he's doing the smart thing of paying back the debt that he did to open up the store and inventory and all that. And then, you know, if you're not familiar with bicycle retail, there's two things you want to do eventually get to. These are your two biggest goals. Number one, owning your inventory 100% outright. That's a hard lift because you take out a lot of loans, or you take credit from these companies to carry their inventory. But if you get to the point of owning your inventory, you're a lot better off. So that's one thing that every bike shop should shoot for, because that cuts down a lot of stress of owing somebody with interest. So if you take out the interest component, that's huge. And the other huge costs that is so variable that you need to flatline it at some point is owning your own building. You may have to downsize. You may have to be more remote. You might have to be not on the main strip. But if you own your own building, that mortgage is the same every month. When you're leasing, every 3 to 5 months, or three to 5 years, whatever you may have worked out with the lease agreement with that property management company, it's going to go up, and that eats into the profit. And if you have a bad year with your rent going up, which we expanded at the same time, we were out of business in 6 months. So you can kill your business so fast. So the idea is own your own inventory and you own your own property. And if you get to a point where the property is big enough, you can sublet a portion of it out if need be and shrink it so you can still have an income from the property portion of it. Those are the two biggest nuggets I can give you when you're owning your own business and having goals. And those goals may not be next year, it may not be your 3-year plan or 5-year plan, but it should be in your goal plan at some point along the way. Because tell you what, I'm in the garage, I own my own building. My rent's not going to go up unless my wife wants to charge me more money, which she probably will. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. I can work it out, sweat labor on out some other way. And, you know, and I thought about doing another building at some point, and that's a whole lot of stress. It's like, I don't want another mortgage and electricity and water bill and then staff and all that. I mean, so you got to find your niche. I'm a little older guy, so I'm at the point of like, I don't want to add more complication to my life. I'd rather have a small micro shop in my garage, consider it a lab, try things out. If they don't work, throw them away, try something else. Eventually something will stick. But I have the luxury of doing that because it's a little bit easier when you don't have those big things weighing over you. Yes, I own a majority of my inventory, and I do have some debt that are accrued, but it's in a payment program. It's going to be paid off within the next year on the trajectory that we're at. If not, I can kick it down a road a little bit further and be okay. So I'm stable. That's the beauty of service and doing what I'm doing. But when you're looking at a big company like Trek or Specialized and so forth, those are bigger swings and bigger bills, and it's a lot of head scratching for sure. So yeah, go Grava, check them out if you're in, I think it's in Pennsylvania. Good guy. There's an Aaron and an Aaron. There's two Aarons. So when you call them, you ask for Aaron. There's two Aarons you got to talk to. So I hope they are doing well. For sure. All right, going back to the chat point here. David, are there any American brands you like? You know, like, well, there's American brands, then there's America brands that are made in the United States that are American. Well, I got rich taste. I like the Moots. I've worked on a few, don't have one, but they're in Steamboat Springs, which is a beautiful place in Colorado. Been up there a couple times. They make some fantastic titanium. That's if you can afford it. Beautiful bikes. There's I just got introduced to them recently. It's a local company in Fort Collins, and it's called Whitefoot. On Grab. This is their old. The guy made. I introduced this last week too. I'm gonna make a video on their. They don't make a lot, but it's more like your backpacking, commuting, adventure. I have a skeleton over here. Skeleton in the closet. Really. So they swung by, introduced themselves, gave me a couple cages to check out. I mean, this is the things that intrigue me. This has always intrigued me because I like, cool stuff being made in small shops, CNC shops or small manufacturing in the United States for decades now. And back in the 90s, I tried to build up a bike with all American-made stuff, and that was really hard to do back then, and it was very expensive. But they make bottle cages, one for an Nalgene bottle size and your standard cage. So when you're talking about craftsmanship, stainless steel, thicker tubing. So they changed this is their older one, and they changed it to a thicker tubing. The connection where you see where they put it together, actually they weld it and grind it down so it's seamless. It's super strong. I mean, it's like stout. And that's what the name of the little one's like, a stout cage, and your bigger one here. This is where the analogy. So if you want to carry a lot of water on your backpacking or commuting or whatever, then you get like those bigger water bottles to fit in this, and you can go into work or what have you. This is the standard cage, and they have 7 positions, so you can up, down the direction on it. So that is an example of what makes me feel good about cool products. And yeah, it's just a bottle cage. But it was probably the last bottle cage you ever need to buy because the welds are nice. It's made of stainless steel. And hey, they make it here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And they source the materials in the United States. So I'm not saying that all needs to be that. But it's more of the craftsmanship part that makes me all fuzzy and warm and fuzzy versus the mass production part, if you follow. So, I mean, if I was going to buy a $3,000, $4,000 bike, and like the Moots is not the one I can really afford because they're like $5,000 or $10,000. I would probably look at Fairlight, which is a nice Reynolds tubing gravel or road bike made in England. And I've worked on a couple, and they're beautiful. They're so made so well. It's a company that I can really like promote. These are solid. I have one customer, he's got that, and he got a Tumbleweed. And the Tumbleweed is an American company, but the frames are made overseas. And they're a nice frame and a nice bike, and they have more of that adventure riding, backpacking stout to them. But the Fairlight's more like your traditional, like this gravel steel bike is going to cook, going to fast, the handle's great. When I built it up, it was awesome. Just too big for me. Unfortunately, I would have stole it from Kevin. Anyway, sorry, Kevin, your bike's not ready yet. I got to go to Utah, do some riding. But yeah, great question, David. Yeah, it's more of the craftsmanship, and there's a lot of brands out there. And if you're looking at frame brands, there's quite a few smaller ones, and check out the Made Show. They have that in Oregon. Portland, I think, and they have different ones there. And I'm sure you can probably go to the website and see the companies that they have that went there, that kind of thing. So for sure, absolutely. All right, Precision e-bike, Josh. You got? Yep, you're talking about testing, diagnosis, firmware, all the stuff that I don't want to know. Conversions, the e-bike stuff. That's where it's like, if I could just keep doing the stuff that I know well, I don't need to learn too much. The whole YouTube thing, that was a whole learning. That's still a learning thing. So I've already got my learning bucket full, overflowing. I don't need to add more to it. So I'll just stick with that. But I'll let Josh at Precision e-bike do the learnings and knowings and being an expert of the e-bike realm, and keep, that'll definitely keep you busy. Yeah, maybe some of you other guys that are in the chat can, in your neck of the woods, what bike companies that kind of make you warm and fuzzy about. That'd be really cool to see. I'll go back to Kristen. Knows that they were, it's odd they rushed ship the replacement before see the original. Just wondering if they were solely on the shop text report. You know, it sounds like there's a miscommunication between the brand and what was actually wrong with it, or mistrained. You know, warranty situations can get tricky sometimes. Because we get memos from companies, and sometimes get overwhelmed by all different companies, depending how big a shop you are. And they may have accidentally, when they've just been a worn out part, which, you know, could have been a warranty. But a lot of these companies, some of them, I've had, I mean, SRAM, as big as they are, I've had really good experience as a service manager role of like, hey, I have this customer, the part is 2 years after warranty, but his original owner, and first, I didn't know what you have currently to replace it. Second, is there anything you do to help them out on pricing and that kind of thing? They were so cool. They're like, oh, I got the replacement for that. We'll send it to you, no charge. You just take care of the labor on it. I'm like, all right. So there is companies like that out there that do that. Not to say they may have changed their tune. SRAM may have changed their tune. Now there may be a different company to deal with now, but you know, if you know that particular scenario could have been a mistake on the mechanic part, and that puts everybody in a weird situation, especially when it gets expensive. But hopefully hopefully the shop did you right somehow. Like, I don't know, whatever they could have done. Made it a little bit less, or didn't charge you the full price, or threw in the labor or something. A lot of shops should do that. They shouldn't be such a hard line. Like, nope, it wasn't covered. Yeah, it was like $400. Even though we said it was, you know, whatever. Sounds like it was a colossal mistake. And I've been in a few of those, and it's not great. And it's not a win-win for the shop, because now they lost you as a customer. And now you're telling us in chat, which is getting in front of how many other people, you know, so it's not good. And it could have been an honest mistake, but it could have been just, you know, yeah, it sounds like it was just a big mistake in case. But I'm sorry that you had that. I mean, yeah, I've been in that scenario before. You know, as much as you're apologetic, it's like sometimes you can't win that customer back. It's just unfortunate. Joe, you actually look forward to winter riding again? You're crazy. Get that clothes on. I'm in a sweatshirt today because it's cold today here. I'm like, this is too much. I had to wear socks yesterday. It sucks. I'm back in my flip flops by this afternoon. It's like, oh man, cold weather. Anyway, yeah. I'll read up on some of these other chats here. Catch up. Andrew, thank you for joining us. Thank you. Nice. I've done fairly well with the e-bike repairs also. Nice. Good to know. I just bought our building this year. Rented some locations for, yeah. So Andrew, you did great. Yeah, if you can get yourself, I mean, yeah, sometimes it takes like 20 years, but I mean, that was our fail point in my parents' shop, is we should have been more focused on buying a building from day one, than dealing with the constant whatever of leasing. I mean, I'm not saying there's some lease companies out there, or managers, owners are really cool to work with. They are far and few between though. They're mostly just there in it for the money. And if you have a couple hard months, they're just going to really stick it to you or just kick you out. But yeah, owning your building is the big thing. And if you can get a big enough, like I said before, if you get enough big building to be able to sublet or portion it out, you're you're helping yourself, and you don't have to be, I mean, nowadays with the internet and all that other stuff, you don't have to be, you can get there in front of them like I am at some level of capacity and not have to have a retail storefront in the traditional sense. So positioning e-bike, I know you were thinking about relocating, so you might think about getting a building or industrial building or something like that. That's an investment, not just something you're just going to throw money away for rental. I mean, that's what I do with my daughter every day. It's like sprinkler of money. But thanks, Andrew, for chiming in. I'm glad you're doing great. That's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, Joe. These are, I didn't even know these guys were locally. I mean, I was like, how dumb of me. I should know, but you know, it's like, you can find things even in your neck of the woods, like, oh, I didn't know you were here building stuff. That's kind of cool. They reached out and like, I've heard of them briefly. And that's when they were making this clunker. This one's way lighter. This is steel, stainless steel, way lighter. It's like, you need to do titanium next, man. But yeah, they're only two, owner and employee. Been around for about 10 years now. Super cool. Yeah, wide foot, made in USA. And it's just the craftsmanship. That's the thing. It's like, in my perspective, I got over the whole made in my country stigma decades ago. It's like, if you're making the best thing and you have your heart and soul in it, I want that product, period. It's just, that's what I want to see. I don't want like, oh yeah, I made like 400,000 of these carbon somethings. You're like, okay, sure. There's no love in there. Cycling's a loving community feel. You love to ride, so you pour your love into your bottle cages, apparently. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks, Joe. And yeah, you're a craftsman, dude. I mean, you make paddles, and man, your paddles are beautiful. What I've seen, and you put your heart and soul in each one of them. I mean, it's like the same thing I do on my repairs now. It's like, it's not I just do volume. I think of the person when I'm working on the bike. I mean, I know the person because I met them. Most mechanics and bike shops never meet the people that they ride the bikes, because they're in the back or downstairs or squirreled away in the corner. And it's like the service rider or owner or whoever up front that knows the customer. But if you're the person that's owner, like, oh man, I don't know if James is going to like the bars like this. So we'll not wrap him and wait till he comes in. We'll talk to him about it and see what he feels. Things like that. And, you have that relationship with those particular individuals, and that's your community. That's your, like, I mean, James is like, has so many bikes. He's like, let me know when you need work. I mean, that's what he bluntly told me that. And I'm like, that is so cool. If I got in a pinch, like, dude, things are really tight, I could use a couple repairs right now. That'd be awesome if you have some stuff that needs to be worked on. And I'd swear, he'd probably drive up with a busload of bikes for me to work on. And he's done that. Well, recently, indirectly, like dropped off like 6 or 8 of them. And I'm still chewing on them. It's been a month and a half later, 2 months now. Just trying to get through the cycle of doing videos and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's great. I mean, if you can get yourself in that scenario, you'll be able to keep some of your hair when you get older. It's great. Yeah. Any case. Yeah. And also, heads up on your bike shop owner peoples out there. You can get these. You can develop a wholesale account and buy these as a whole, like a product in your store as a shop. He does, direct to consumer. Of course, it's pretty small. But if you have a clientele in your shop, and you could use a couple bigger cages with adjustments, or just the stout cage for a couple adjustments. Also, this is not, he didn't pay me or anything. I just thought it was cool that he just has this stuff, and he makes these mounts that he has bungee cords too. Not bungee cords, straps. Shit. I don't know. I lost track of those. I'll have to find them. But this is, those bike mechanics are like, what's this go to? You're like, oh, it's an adventure bike. It goes on the fork or your cage and has multiple holes, and strap your backpack, or not backpack, but like sleeping bag or sleeping tent, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, check them out. Yeah, just widefoot.com. Yeah, there's some cool stuff. In any case, yeah, let's see who else. The handmade bike show. That's where I spent money. Yeah. It's even if they're Road Glide. Thanks for chiming in. Yeah, I mean, even if it's a small shop in Taiwan, like, they're a family business. We make this one thing. It's really good, or whatever. I'm not, I don't like borders. Let's just put it that way. Especially in the bike industry, you want the best thing or the coolest thing, and it could be made anywhere, as long as it's, like I said, the craftsmanship, the story, the heart and soul behind it, make you feel good about buying your $30 cage, and you're like, oh, it's like very expensive, but it's like, once I tell you it has 6 really nice welds made out of stainless steel, multiple mounts, lifetime warranty, it's like freaking tough, it's going to hold up for you, be the last cage you need to buy, then you're like, oh, okay. That makes sense. That's where the thing is, like, we got to make cycling sensible again. Oh God, I hate saying that way. Sorry, bad me. We just need it needs to be making sense. Period. Not again. I don't think ever. Well, better. We need to do better. We always need to do better. Is this the best we can do? Oh yeah, Black Sheep and Fort Collins precision e-bike. That's right. It's handcrafted, and some amazing Thai bikes. Yes, he makes some amazing Thai stuff. I think his name is James Black Sheep. Also, he's modified a couple Thai frames of my customers, and beautiful work. I mean, it's like dialed. I mean, he knows his stuff. It's good. It's good stuff. One of these days, I'll have him make me something if I ever get to that point. Oh, hey, Joe, talking about the cold weather again. Yeah, silly like that. I mean, you do with what you got, right? When you have like spring and summer and fall are like one season, and then winter. I get it. I mean, I lived in Michigan for a little bit, and that was quite vastly different than what I was experiencing here. So yes, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, thanks, David, for replying to Christina in there. There's either, yeah, there's something going on there. Maybe we can help them out a little. Well, okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think we about beat this to death. But anyway, yes, cool things that have. I got my brain bucket. Literally a brain bucket. This was a promotional piece for a charity at some point. It was given to me, and it's going on to my Halloween project. I think I'm going to call him Bicycle Rep Bob. Yeah, he's a bike rep. He used to be in industry. He lost his skin in the game. I know it's horrible. Yeah, having a skeleton. Have this idea. I have the helmet. I'm like, okay, we got to get a skeleton that the helmet fits on. I'm like, okay, and my dumb brain, dad jokes all day. Gonna pile up like a SCHWINN varsity underneath my tree at front yard and have Bob the rep get smashed with some old jerseys and whatever I can get clothing on them into the tree hanging. So I'd be like, and then on Halloween, I'm going to put a whole bunch of blinky lights on the bike itself in the front yard. So it just flashes in all different directions. So it's kind of have your strobe effect, that kind of thing. Yeah. Bike reps, this is your future. Bob the bike rep. I was going to give him a different name, but Bob from Beetlejuice, just, hey, Bob. sounds more appropriate. I was going to call him Bill because we had, I think at one time we had like 3 or 4 Bills as bike reps. Yeah, Bill Davis was the SCHWINN rep in Colorado. There's another Bill, I believe. He was the GT rep. back in the 90s. If you're watching this and you had Bill, the GT rep, let me know. I can't remember his name. I thought that was another Bill that did Jameis, maybe, or is that another guy? Oh, the Bill, the rep that did GT. Maybe it wasn't GT. He did Sirota and Mavic. So, some of these reps, they had like 8 lines that carry. They're called an independent rep, like kind of like an independent bike shop, but as in a rep form. And some of them did okay. Some of them were peddling all sorts of stuff, and you only see them like every 3 months because their territories were like 8 states. Their life had been hard. Oh, there was, it's the thing about doing Bill the rep is, I mean, Bill seemed, but Bob is kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit better. Bob the rep, more generic. It's kind of like Smith, which is my wife's maiden name. But yeah, the funny thing about the cages, back to that, not to sell the cages. They were here talking about cages, and I have like cages over there that were takeoffs that I were doing refurbishing bikes to take the cages off because some of them were just junky and they don't look great when picturing and all that. So I, usually just took them off, and when I showed the bike, I'd be like, "Hey, you need a cage?" And we'll just throw some cages on there and make them feel better about buying a bike from me. Just kind of like a take it away and give it back to you kind of feel thing. But I had their older version up there, and like, oh, that's one of our old cages. Like, oh, really? I didn't even know what that was for. Then also I was looking on the wall, and I came across the King cage, which I heard, and this was another stainless steel out of Durango. And they still make the King cage, and they seem like they have a good story too, and so forth. But looking at comparisons to the King cage and to the stout cage, obviously this one's lighter and less adjustments. But it's just stainless steel too, and you can just by the thumb test you can see, my right hand's even stronger because it bowls with that one. So it's a stout. Build her up, and that's what we call the stout cage. Puns and words there. But then you have this adjustment up and down to it. But yeah, if you want to carry some of their cages in your store, if you have a bike shop and you do that more of adventure riding people's, check out, be a nice little thing to have in your wall, that kind of thing. And you're supporting a smaller company that does really cool stuff. I want to talk them into doing titanium at some point. Titanium cage, because they have titanium bolts for these things, I mean, even though they're not weight weenies, the gravel adventure riders are not weight weenies like the tri people. But no offense to either party, but if I did, sorry, but not. And you know who you are. And, you do want to keep your stuff light because you're actually pushing all that adventure gear up a mountain or passes or what have you. But, you don't want to like break the bank of buying titanium bolts and all that stuff. But anyway, if you do, you want to make sure you get it somewhere where you feel comfortable, warm and fuzzy about buying it from, that kind of thing. So let's see here. Oh yeah, I want to talk. Got one more to do here.
A whole bunch of bike stuff, and you just need to get rid of it. No longer needs to be in your garage, needs to be in somebody else's garage, and actually, hey, maybe being used. Go to bikeflights.com. You can actually open up an account yourself or just put in a one-time usage, put in the destination, so forth, the bike size, dimensions, and weight. Don't forget the weight. And add that insurance, because you'll definitely want to make sure that insurance is covered if something happens in that UPS or FedEx or whatever transfer going to that next destination. You want to be protected. Then you just have to drop it off at your local UPS store and be able to get it on its way. And again, I have shipped bikes, parts, wheels, and frames for decades now. And Bike Flights is sure enough one of the best directions to go.
So I wanted to bring that up about Bike Flights. Yeah, I get a commission through the affiliate link down below. But quite honestly, for those who may have smaller shops and or reluctant of shipping, that kind of thing, I wanted to feature another shop. Well, first let's feature the shop that I talked about before. And I figured this would be a great way to what am I trying to say? Put a spotlight in a shop, maybe in your neck of the woods, that kind of thing. If I can, where are you? There you are. Okay. So this is Grava. He did like backpacking clothes and stuff initially. He's been in the cycling realm for a while, Aaron. Like their bags and stuff. I think they still have some of their stuff up. But now, okay, this is now all their retail brands that they're carrying. But they have the Guava packing stuff. So Aaron, Guava, maybe you need to buy some cages from my buddy here at Whitefoot if you haven't already. In any case, this is where his adventure started, and then he now is into where's the okay, there it is. Service for this guy. I mean, he's gone into like the tune-ups. Oh, rush service. Yeah, there's extra $45. I get that. Full tune-up for $200. So these are reasonable prices, actually. A standard bike tune-up is $100. I mean, okay, business 101, if you're doing more work than you can handle, you raise your prices. And you mentioned that in his last video too. The best time to raise your prices without making too many people mad is in the dead off season. For us in the States, it's January, right after the holidays. That's when I review mine. That's where you can just up it whatever you need to. And then you see how it does and see how your spring goes. It's a double-edged sword, because you're up the price and all of a sudden spring hits, nobody's, doing your tune-ups, that kind of thing. But you could always if you have a big enough customer, you can always put out coupons. And so what I did, my tune-ups were a little bit cheaper than I did the sale thing. Like everything was always on sale. But this summer I was getting so busy, I just went to a standard price and took the sale away. And then now, if it gets slow, I can do a promotion still and do a discount. If I get, like there's no work, need money to come in, I do, instead of discounting the tune-up, I upsell or not upsell, I level up the tune-up. Let's go back to tune-ups. I level it up. What I do is I level up your tune-up in the off-season or really good customers that give me a lot of bikes to work on. So yeah, I'll charge you the standard. You may have just got the standard tune-up for $100, but I'm not going to give you the full, maybe the full bike tune-up, $50, maybe $100, all depends, or knock off the labor for extra accessories and that kind of thing. I get the money that I need to get out of it for my time, but yet you're still giving them the value and the quality of service, or you spend time on it. And that's where my videos come into place for mine, because they can watch the video like, oh, you did all of that? I'm like, yeah, that was all included. Like, oh, okay, cool. That kind of thing. So I would say probably you got a lot of services here. It's a little overwhelming. I would keep it a little more light and polite, good, better, best. All the sub-services could be just a mention. Or when they, this is your product page, but when they go do the tune-up, for me, I use a program where I can, it's a calendar program where you can really dissect. It's called Calendly. I used it for the software meetings and so forth, but I was able to manipulate it to use it for doing different packages and so forth. So people can really kind of fine tune what they want done there, not necessarily on your website. So therefore you're just wanting to just sell, heavy hit it. Boom. This is what we do. This is what we love doing. This is our 3 sets, 4 sets, that kind of thing. Not to critique your website. I just wanted to feature them, but I just saw that. And service is so heavy right now. That's something that needs to be, because you're not selling, people are not selling stuff as in bikes and so forth as much. But in any case, that's one of the shops I wanted to feature. And where are you? You are, well, you carry a giant. That'd be an interesting conversation to have with you. See what goes on there. Pivot's a good company. That's a local company, makes some really cool stuff. We carried Fuji back in the day. They're still around. And where are you? Guess I have to do about us to find out where your address is. Here's your nice little story, who you are, whoever got you where you're at. Still not finding an address. Guess I'll have to, or I'm blind. And then you get an email. Well, anyway, I know they're in Pennsylvania somewhere. Locations. Duh. Got to click the right button, right? There you go. Your address and the phone number should be plastered almost on every page. Heads up. So put that on your footer. If you guys don't have that on your footer in your website, that needs to be on your footer. Yeah. So yeah, PA. Let's see. Can I zoom out on this? No. But anyway, nice looking building, great little shop, has a whole bunch of great reviews. It's freaking awesome. You know you're doing something right when your reviews are all mostly positive. You'll get a sticker one in there once in a while, but that's how that goes. Another shop I want to just do a shout out before I wrap this up is Swanee Cycles. I did a interview. I did a Shop Talk Tuesday at their location. And can I get that to pop? No, it's not going to go anywhere. Hold on. I got to get back to here so I can close the pop-up. Also, the latest trend on pop-ups, people don't like them. It metals the phone up. So make a hard thought about it and maybe not have a pop-up, because it's just an annoying thing and they may navigate away from your site because of it. Okay. So, I mean, you can capture that information if they want to, not to be bluntly in their face. Okay. They carry Specialized. They're more of a road-centric, not to say that they don't work on other bikes. They do mountain bike, and also they have extra space for a guy that has his own business that does mountain bike suspension work, which is pretty cool. So they teamed up. That's another leveling up. So they're competing. They're working together. This guy's really cool. Yeah, he's been in industry for a long time, and both cats, you'll see either one of those two. They do have a couple other employees. Their whole staff is really nice. They will take the time to take care of you. They do have a fit studio if you want to do the high level fits. So if you're a roadie in Vegas, or you're going to go to Vegas and you're a roadie, reach out to these guys. Stop by their shop. It's a cool little shop, and they do have rentals, which I will need to rent from them because I had to take my, they only have mountain bikes. I'll talk them to let me have a road bike for a day. That kind of thing. So they do the sales and service, and this is, small shop, a lot of experience. They both came from different bike shops and bike shop history. So they have the shop together and they're doing really well. It's a really cool thing. So if you're in the Las Vegas area, I'd highly recommend checking them out, talking to them, having some service work you need to, that kind of thing. Looks like they're in bed with Specialized. I think they did, Savella, which is Pawn, Canada, which is Pawn Holdings or Pawn Bike, that kind of thing. So, that's why I was leading into this. So Go Grava, they already have a shopping cart program. They know about selling stuff online. So going back to Bike Flights, you can become a bike dealer through Bike Flights to get a little extra something discount when you do shipping and other things, like a partner program with them. That will get you to lower costs on shipping bikes, frames, forks, wheels, the stuff that you don't go through the local post office. The bigger crap that's very expensive because it just takes a higher volume. So therefore, you can take these items and become more, because and when I was there, they were talking about being more of a presence of selling online, and this is where they can actually take advantage of that and really reap the benefits, especially if you want to dive into the used stuff, like I have, for sure. So yeah, with the bikes, and you can still ship e-bikes and so forth using them as well, that kind of thing. So, and it's not something to be scared to do. I mean, a lot of people are scared of shipping bikes. And if you've been working in a bike shop for a long time, you know how to pack up a bike because you've been taking them out of bike boxes for however long. So that's where that's what we have there. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, using the bike flights is definitely something that can really help you price wise. Even if you do have a UPS account or a FedEx account, they will come in cheaper, I think. The bike boxes that they sell, that's another whole venture that they're doing. But for a shop, I'm sure you can probably leverage that and also use that for your advantage for helping bikes. For people doing events, like we're in that time of season now where a lot of those individuals are doing events other parts of the world, and they'll pack up the bike and have it shipped, that kind of thing. That's a way of, as a consumer, if you're going to do an event somewhere, that's a great way of moving your bike there without having to take it on the plane or what have you for that traveling and get there in fairly decent condition. And they them prices do drop down pretty significantly by using them. Because if you do comparisons to like just the UPS portal or the FedEx portal, you just be like, oh my God, it's so expensive. And pricing on shipping is going up. And also make sure you get insured. So those are the things to be mindful. If you have old junk in your garage you want to sell, if you're able to sell it on eBay or what have you, you'll be able to get that product out of your garage. eBay shipping, though, is pretty comparable, to be quite honest. So even though you're paying a good 15% on the product being sold, so keep that in mind when you list it. But that's something for sure you want to do. And last but not least,
Hey, I'm Justin, the guy in the garage. I do have a garage shop, and you see most of these tools behind me. I want to do a shout out to Jensen's USA, which you'll find a link below if you're looking for some good pricing and as well tools to fit or to expand your actual shop at home.
okay, as bike shop people don't like places like Jensen's. Not usually. Reason being is sometimes they come up with, it's up there with the performance days and Nash Barnes. You remember ran around. If you're new to cycling, you probably don't know those names, but those are direct to consumer bike products. Now we're all used to it because you got companies like Jensen's, you got companies like, well, all the Amazon companies too, that we're all combating. So bike shops should already been shifting and got comfortable with this. And I'm fine with it for the most part, because I'm not stocking that inventory anymore. I'll have people. I don't have the money to. I don't put the money into the stocking inventory. So this is my business model. Is I'm okay with it if you bring your own stuff. It's fine. I'm here for the labor, and my labor charges are enough to offset whatever I would have maybe made on a chain or a cassette. I do have the bread and butter stuff, like cables and housing and chains and stuff I need to, do repairs for the most part, and stuff that usually people won't buy for themselves. But most people, if they're looking for a certain stem or a bar or a wheel set or all that kind of thing, they don't have to feel bad to go into my shop and going, oh, you don't have it, and I don't like that price. So this is how I leveraged it. Okay, think about this. I have an affiliate with Jensen's below, which I give affiliate links to my customers. Oh, you're looking for that chain, or you're looking for that bottle of lube, or you're looking for that chain waxing kit, or whatever. Jensen's probably has it. Jensen's used to be a wholesaler back in the 90s, and then they're one of the first that went direct to consumer. QVP is doing the same thing, but in a different way. But they just flat out went to direct to consumer. So the prices can be a little cheaper. As in Go Grava, Aaron there talked about in his video that dropped today about, this is why I'm mentioning it, Aaron, is he's like, Jensen's USA is bringing bike parts cheaper than my costs, like what he can get at. Okay. They basically got rid of the middle, like the two middlemen. And that's why they're getting it cheaper, because they are going direct. So when you buy a bike part from a Trek store, for example, well, Trek is technically the wholesaler to the Trek store, like, or independent bike dealer. So they have a markup there. They have another markup in between them and the wholesaler or the product, Shimano, SRAM, or whoever they're buying it from. So you got all these little markups along the way. Some, a lot of fingers in the sticky pot. Well, when you're looking at, and this is where Performance did really well, because they went to Shimano Direct and went, we want to buy 5,000 chains. And they're like, all right, best price, drop the price down. All right. And then they just turn around, and then basically they're selling the chains to the public at what the bike shops were getting the chains for at wholesale. That's where he was kind of, he was complaining about it, obviously, because he's new to this like paint thing. Like, why? So you can't carry all that stuff. You got to carry the stuff that they'll want to buy either on impulse or they're there, and it's going to be lower price stuff. So those the more expensive featured niche things like $1,000 wheel sets might not be something you want to really invest too much into, because they'll just sit there and you'll be discounting them, and you're already going to be competing against those wholesalers. And those wholesalers that are selling that stuff, yeah, they may say they have a price guarantee or whatever. They're not going to undercut you, direct to consumer. They're going to do it in a drop of a hat, and they have been doing it for the last 2 years. So that puts every bike shop, independent bike shop, in a weird position with their wholesalers. Like, okay, I'm only going to carry the stuff that I know I can sell, that I need to sell, or to do functioning as a service center, and serving my community that I know what I'm selling. I'm not going to be taking risks on products that are going to be discounted and so forth. It may one or two, but you're not going to do a high level risk. So you're going to leverage them as a warehouse, or you can use it as an affiliate sales. So think about it. Okay, I make, let's say I make like $5 off of $100 item that the customer bought through my affiliate. Okay, the $100 item. Okay, even if you don't get Keystone, but if you got Keystone on that product, so you paid $50 for it, then you had to order it, then you had to come up with the money to have it, loans or cash flow, and then it sits there, and you have to have somebody check it in. Well, first you have to have somebody to order it, then you have somebody to check it in, then you have somebody to sell it, and then you have to have somebody there just in case if they want to return it. So that $50 profit, including the rent, the lights, and the space on the hook on the wall, and all that thing, that $50 is down to maybe like $4. Well, if you just did it with the affiliate, you just made $4. So, and you don't have to do any of that dumb stuff. And it's called passive income. So somebody's like, oh, I'm looking at this one part and whatever. And it's like, oh, no, I don't have it, but you can buy it off of Amazon if you have an Amazon affiliate link or a Jensen's affiliate link. Like, oh, here's the affiliate to that part or tool or wheel set. And here's the thing. There's the weird thing. That's the fun thing with affiliate sales. Okay, they don't want that part. They decided they want to go with something else on the Amazon. There's a cookie trail for 24 hours or so, if not longer, that you get credit for all the other stuff that they buy. So that $4 that you may have made on the one part, well, maybe they didn't buy that anyway. You bought something else, but you bought his groceries list for that week while it was on the shopping cart on Amazon, and gets all those other things. Boom, you just made more money by doing nothing. And that's helping your store and support. So think about things like that as a possibility, because and that enables you to sell stuff technically ish that you don't stock. Yeah, they sell these on Amazon too. So, and not all of those things, but they do have these on Amazon. I don't know how much I make on a $30 bottle, probably 20 cents or something like that. But the thing is like, that's it. It's like, it's instead of fighting it, how about you get in bed with it and kind of leverage it to your advantage and your community's advantage? Like, oh, okay, I saw the ultrasonic cleaner on like $30 cheaper on, Amazon for the big deal today. There you go. Right there. I just saved you 20 bucks. I still get the $3 or $4, whatever, but I didn't have to order it, ship it, tag it, figure out what the hell to do with it in my shop, have somebody drop it by accident and all that. It's like, that's all in some other company. And I can focus on my time of working on my buddy's bike, or my great customer, James, that brought in like another handful. I'm getting down. I got like one left after this one. But in any case, you know what I mean? It's like you can utilize that and still leverage it and still sell the stuff, but yet not have to be in bed with the company for it and have to be upfront your store with a whole bunch of inventory that you may or may not sell. Especially in these economical weird times. So let them do the selling. And if you're a QBP person, you may want to take care, if you can, leverage their program to direct to consumer. 365 cycles is just go there. If you're a bike shop, take a look at their site. It's basically QBP. It is. It's basically, you order something there, you get pinged by QBP. It's going to be coming to your house. And they brought the prices down on some of their stuff. That's where I get my cables and the housing. Yeah, it may be more for, a box of 100 cables than I would have at wholesale. Or maybe I could have, talked to Josh at Precision E-Bikes, like, hey, next time you do a QBP order, let me add a couple items. But I mean, for me, I call it sanity tax because I don't have to have a minimum orders. I don't have to have an account with anyone. And besides, anything usually over 50 bucks is free freight. So a sanity tax for me. And then again, that box of cables cost me 150 bucks of stainless, maybe more. I forget what it was, but it came to like the cost, the dollar amount's like $1.50 a cable for a stainless steel cable. MSRP in most bike shops are around $7 to $8 per cable. So I charge mine for $4 or $5. I'm still half the price, still make double the margin that my local T store, S store is selling their stainless steel cables for. Same thing. These are Jaguar cables. I mean, there's legit cables, not some, off-brand from Temu or AliExpress. I mean, they're actually the real thing, and still make a profit off it without having to have those abundancy or problematic Bob the rep coming in, bugging me every 2 weeks about stuff they want to sell me and what's on their hot sheet list from JB Importers. I swear to God. I mean, I love Mike Knight, but my God, it was just time toilet suck. I mean, it's like, I need my stuff. I can do it online now. I don't need somebody coming to my store and bugging me. I mean, yeah, if they're doing like once a year, okay. But back in the day, it's probably changed now, because if you're seeing a rep more than once a month, it's too much. In my opinion. Then again, I don't have any reps anymore. I don't deal with that. It's just crazy stuff. Any case. So wanted to bring that to your attention that, even as consumers, you can support your shop still. You may not be buying stuff from them directly, but if they're okay and comfortable, they don't give you the attitude like, oh, you buy that from somewhere else, why do you need to buy it from us? Attitude, which they should not have, because that's what everybody, that's our environment. If they've not accepted that yet, they're okay. They're not going to hang on for very long. Because it's getting even worse now. I mean, they may have been able to be a stick in mud about that before, but now it's really crunch time. So when you're looking at that as a consumer, you buy something, you have them installed, especially if it's like a headset or a bottom bracket, you don't want to buy all the tools for it, that kind of thing, and have the expertise of double checking either your work you already have. I mean, let's put it this way. You got a bike from Canyon and you put it together and something just doesn't, seem quite right. $100 tune-up. Even though it's a brand new bike out of the box, $100 tune-up will always be cheaper than an ER visit. Always. I can guarantee you this. So $100 for mental health and making sure a professional that's insured and knows what the hell they're doing making sure that ride is perfect for you, that is worth $100. I'm just going by Aaron Goguava's standard tune-up or beginner tune-up, whatever. That tune-up does cover the safety inspection-ish, because that's what we're doing. We're double checking everything. They may be like a mechanic, like, oh man, this is the easiest thing ever. But they're still going to double check all the bits and making sure it's good. Yeah. And for me, I leverage that. Get this. So I have a tune-up package. It's not really a tune-up. It's a service package. It's for new bikes. New bikes that you got, like shipped to you, like right to your house, Canyon or a Trek or a Specialized. I don't care. You got this new bike. Guess what they didn't come with that new bike? Well, they didn't fit you to it. Do a little static fit. You know, you don't have to do the whole dots and everything. Just a static fit. Throw their arms on, adjust their seat height, make sure the bars are on there. You know, kind of do a little safety check. Okay. All right. That's worth something, right? Security, the bike has been safety checked and you've been kind of fitted to the bike somewhat, like a standard static fit. Okay, that's good. There's a value to that. So you put that in a little corner there. You got a value there. The second value is like, guess what is all the rage now? Wax chains. What you want to do, your brand new chain, get the manufacturing grease on it and put a high performance wax on there. That's part of that tune-up too. A new bike tune-up or new to you bike. Like that's another. You got the fitting, you got the wax chain. And for us mechanics, super easy when it's like new. You don't have to clean the whole drivetrain. You just take that chain, get the grease off of it, and ultrasonic cleaner for a couple cycles. Throw it in your waxer. You already have heated up and going. Win-win, right? Okay. Last thing, elevated service to the paint job. Okay, you can do this however you want to do. You may not even want to do this at all. But if you're a mountain biker or my mountain bike shop, you know those little, like the, what am I trying? It's like sleeves or stealth covers or plastic protection things, wraps. Basically, they're wraps that you do on cars, but a little thicker. They go on mountain bikes to protect the paint. That's included. Maybe the cost of the wraps if you have a kid or anything. Or for the roadies that like the pretty paint jobs that just spent a whole bunch of money on, ceramic coat it. It's super easy when the frame has only been rode a couple times because you just wipe it down with a light cleaner. Then you wipe it again with rubbing alcohol. And then the frame is ready to be take in the ceramic coating, whatever flavor you want. However you want to do a stack or not a stack or whatever you feel comfortable with. I suggest the automotive version of it because the Mach-Off and the Silka version is just basically copies. Go to the source. Go to Adams polishes with he started off with doing bike stuff, or lithium that I use. It's stackable, it's easy to use, that kind of thing. But that is part of the service. So boom, you just add that there and you have a 3 package. Boom, boom, boom. Your bike is super pretty and protected. You got a super shifting, smooth, quiet drivetrain, and you're fitted to your bike. You are now their bike shop. Pretty simple, right? Something like that. You can mold it to whatever your market. It could be whatever other things in that list. But now I'm providing a service for those who get the Canyon bikes, that get the bikes from Merida, that get directly shipped to their house, that get the Trek bikes that just ship to their house, or the Specialized bikes, whatever bikes. I'm not selling them. I don't want that up front. All the pains of dealing with all those manufacturers. I get to deal with the customer and their bike and work on newer, cool stuff. It's a win-win. So, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it gives them insurances that the bike was put together, fitted right, safe to ride, performance pieces that they don't provide in bike shops for the most part. Like, I mean, you may have a wax service, but they don't really do it to the new bike because that puts the salesperson in a weird place because it should already come that way. Put it back in the old school days of Toughies. You know what Toughies are? It's that damn liner that goes between the tube and the tire that prevented you getting flats from the Go Hit stickers. Well, my dad thought it was a good idea that we put Toughies in. I mean, we had stickers really bad. So we put Toughies in all the bikes that we carried. We put them on when we built them up. Okay, so you remember Fargo when you're trying to sell the stuff that was already on the car and it was almost impossible to sell? That was us. We were trying to sell a $12 upcharge on a bike that already had the tire liners in there. Now, where you put the labor, you put the tire liners in there to prevent them because it's in their best interests. So yeah, wax chains on new bikes. It's kind of hard to do as a salesperson because you're kind of like, it should be already included. I mean, that's what the customer's thinking. Like, well, shouldn't it do that anyway? I mean, you might be able to leverage is like to get them to buy the bike. Oh yeah, we'll wax a chain on there. We'll put some ceramic coating on there, especially if it's like, oh, free wax chains and ceramic coating on frames and a light fit over bikes over 3,000. I mean, you're going to have to do something to sell those things because they're not going to be wanting to come by. And the customers that bought, like I mentioned before, if you just caught later in a portion of this, I had a customer that bought 2 used bikes. They're Treks and they like the brand from their used experience. They've now on our 4th Trek, but they're kind of miffed about, they go into the Trek store and they don't get sized. And this is the 4th bike each. So 8 bikes total they bought from the shop and they don't get sized for it. They don't get fitted. Like it's the like, oh, just the seat a little bit. That looks good on a $3,000 bike or whatever. Like, my goodness, it's and they don't provide a fit service, even though they try to make their Trek dealers, independent dealers, do the precision fit, which is a whole thing in itself. In case I don't want to go down there, but the thing is they bought the bikes from them. I don't care. They come to me. I'm waxing the bike. I'm ceramic coating the frame. I'm fitting them to the bike, and they constantly give me tune-ups and repairs and work to do. So even though they're a good Trek purchaser from a Trek store, they're one of my best customers. See, that's a win-win that you're leveraging and utilizing and actually competing against the competition or getting in bed with, I mean, however you want to look at it and whatever you feel not too gross about it, there's ways of working around it. So it doesn't take much to be an affiliate. Just get 500 people on TikTok to watch your dumb videos of your dog or whatever. You can get or YouTube, you can do some little technical shorts and just get enough followers there to appease the low hanging fruit of Amazon. And Amazon's the easiest one. That was one of the first ones I got. And it was pretty quick and easy. Didn't leverage it as much as I should. And now I'm really getting in the weed, digging into it. It takes time for a bike mechanic to figure out new things. But I'm really leveraging it now, and it's becoming a little more fruitful, right? The Jensen's affiliate with other affiliates, that's through Avant Link, which is, I'm not sure how I feel about them all that much. It's through a company that's like a subcontractor that gets all these different companies you can do percentages. That kind of works and kind of not. There's a couple weaknesses to it. I don't think you get all the transactions that you should be getting because the cookie trail gets lost during those damn pop-ups that people get an extra percentage off. I think that's the weak link to that. But you can still leverage that on this individual base where you might be able to make $5 or $10, $15 here on something that you would not have made anyway at all. So you can give them a link through the Avant link, through the Jensen's, and they can buy that bottle of lube or that wheel set or whatever and that kind of thing. Or you can leverage other companies, to help you out. Bicycle Wheel Warehouse is one of those. It's a smaller company, but it does hand-built wheels, and especially for rim brake. And we worked out a thing where I made a pretty decent margin on a wheel set that he was able to build up for me and all that. And, it's smaller, so it's different. It's kind of a little different. It's like I pay for the whole thing, but he credits me back when I get, whatever. But I made a margin on a wheel set that I typically would not have made a margin off at all. And what would I have carried. that kind of thing. So I'm able to provide new products for my customer base without carrying all the new products or have the contracts with any of those companies. Crazy, huh? Interesting. Think about that for a bit. And there's ways of doing it. And this is, if you're in a bike shop, this is your offs. Well, for us in the United States, this is our kind of like more towards our off season. Start thinking about things like this and helping our business, especially small, to leverage anything. And extra $1,500 here and there is huge. I mean, especially if you don't need to do anything for it. And some of the passive ones are like, again, like, oh, we're cutting you a check for $160. I'm like, nice. Awesome. I don't know what for, but I'll take it. It's off of some people bought some stuff off of an older video or whatever. Those affiliate linked, and it's like, oh, okay. So those are the things that can really help you out as a business. That's also another thing as a consumer. I mean, you're going to buy stuff where you want to buy it, and you can't expect your bike shop to, they should not be like angry about that. They should have like, oh, okay, that's cool. You got that? Oh, what you got? All right. I was like, is that a good deal? Oh, sweet. That sounds like a good deal. But they're there for the service. As long as they're getting what they need to get out of it, they should be fine with it. Because back in the day, we used to get so pissed at our customers when they bought chains from Performance or whatever. They can't do that these days. And if you have anybody in your staff, or if you go into a shop and they're doing that, it's like, you're not going to go there because you're going to feel uncomfortable. And quite honestly, a lot of people have been very uncomfortable going into bike shops for a long time now because the industry changed the bike shops to be more boutique-y, uncomfortable, not warming, welcoming shops. Not all of them per se, but the whole concept store bullshit really kind of messed up the whole market, because that's how Trek and Specialized was trying to muscle their markets and make it all just concepts. And now they just have their own stores. That's where it led into. And so as an independent bike shop, if you were a concept, now you need to get back to who you are, not what they are, and make your community or build your community. Or if you're a brand new shop, don't drink that Kool-Aid. You are who you are, and you make the decisions for your community, what the customers are coming in and what they're asking for, and that's where you're going to go with it. You can't go wrong. If you less likely to go wrong, there's no guarantees, but you have a better chance of finding something that's going to work for you, like Aaron at Grava or the guys at SCHWINN Cycles. They have a really good thing going, and if you work at it, and it's a lot of work, it is hard work. We know it's a hard work. It's like hours on end of doing stuff, but here we are. We love doing it. We like cool new things. We like working on bikes. We also should really enjoy helping out our community and sharing our passion of riding. So there you got it in a nutshell. In any case, I need to go have lunch. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. Please like and subscribe if you like these things. Hopefully I'll have a hashed up markup of just the highlights of the news piece of it. And yeah, there's always more to come. And again, if it's Tuesday in your neck of the woods, it's Shop Talk Tuesday. All of you for hanging in and hanging out and chatting. I appreciate it. Josh at Precision Bikes, shout out to you. If you're in Fort Collins and need your e-bikes need to work on, or if you need to drive them up, he even does shipping conversions. I've heard people like shipping bikes to convert to e-bikes. So he's somebody to talk to there. David, thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it. Holloway. I'm sure I've urged you. I'm sorry. I'm a bike mechanic. I don't read well. Joe channel. Thank you. Love your channel as well. Go check him out. He has some cool paddle stuff. Awesome. Road Glide. Thank you for chiming in. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Andrew Hollis, thank you for chiming in, and thank you for the question earlier. Yeah, you can put questions in the if you're watching this on replay, put it in the descriptions below, or not description, the comments below. Put a question in there, or you can do the form, or you can just email me at justin@anoaguybicycles.com, and I'll try to get those answered. Christian, thank you for chiming in and bringing it in light. hopefully we can, hopefully you can get some insights. Hopefully your bike is basically safe enough to drive now. $TN. Wow, thank you for chiming in. Spot on. I'm into racing and have experienced bikes, but I have 2 friends that want to get into cycling and they asked for help. Find them a decent bikes under $1,000. I was astonished how hard it is. New it's hard. Used is the way to go. $NT. Go with used. If you're in a market where there's a population, you'll find some used stuff that's pretty inexpensive. And if it's road, even the older stuff works just as well as the new stuff. It's all about the damn motor. And that's the body. So yeah, the used is a huge market. The prices have dropped down. Like I mentioned before, you can get a carbons from like the Treco CLVs for $300 to $500, somewhere around there. You have to put a little money into the parts and so forth to get it refreshed. Also fittings, fitting bits like saddle, stem, and bars, and that kind of deal. But once you get all that, you can still be under $1,000 easily and still provide them good, solid bikes. And if they do get into it, either they're going to get sponsored and they giving bikes to them, which is most likely not the case, or they'll justify it to, now I can spend the $2,000 to $3,000 on that. Sorry, I missed your question earlier. Hopefully you're still listening in on that for sure. Service and sales, thank you again for chiming in up north, as well as Joe Paddle and Randy. Thank you for chiming in. You weren't too late because these things are becoming longer every time, right? For some reason, my old man bladder doesn't bother me yet, so we're okay. Plateas Samoas, I'm butchering it up. I'm sorry. Thank you for chiming in from Florida. Got me on the whole Florida rant thing, and thank you for the question. I think you're the one with the question with OCLV. Sorry. Yeah. And Idaho Fat Tire, bike fun. Hope your neck of the woods is going good. And the Fraughtless Ed was the first one that chimed in, got to the top of the list. Thanks again so much, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here in Anoa Guy Bicycle Land and part of the community. And I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. It's nice in your neck of the woods. Please go for a ride. I might try to sneak one in later, if not tomorrow. It gets a little bit warmer. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting. Just anyway. Hopefully the sound was good. Hopefully I didn't crack up too much for the interconnection and all that. And again, we're here, still working on bikes. I got tune-ups all over the place. You just don't see them behind me, but I cleared out this corner to get everything ready for today's talk. And I really enjoy doing these because it gives me a way to engage into a cycling community. And basically gives you a snapshot of inside of where we live, the bike mechanics that just hang out and do stuff and talk about things, and, latest movies and so forth. Apparently the Tron movie's coming up. I got to check that out. All of your old timers like watching Tron. Oh yeah, we got some lunch I got to go do. In any case, again, thanks for everybody for hanging out. Please some comments below if you're watching us on the replay. Sorry about the advertisements, but that's just kind of how it all is. If you don't want to watch the advertisements, watch it live Tuesday, 10 o'clock on Tuesdays on YouTube or wherever you get your YouTube podcasts too. We'll see YouTube. I haven't expanded yet. I haven't figured that out yet. Yeah, I don't have time to figure that out yet. Anyway, yeah, cool. I got some tools to feature next week. I'll have Bob, the rep, put together. I was trying to do it this morning, but ran out of time. He'll be hanging out with me. We'll do like a 2-part series of Bob's sales rep. What is his perspective on the market? Yes. Maybe I'll drag in some. We'll be trying to do some interviews with Widefoot. They invited me to go hang out in their shop, so I'll try to do an interview with them. There's also Better More Bikes is a non-charity. I want to set up an interview with them in North Denver, which would be kind of cool. I'll do that. Those will be separate interviews in the Shop Talk Tuesday. then hopefully I can get a hold of Aaron at Grava. We'll have a little sit down, chat about industry and how he got in and all that stuff. And so, I'll try to bring in some new, fresh faces so he's just not used seeing this ugly mug and just listen to me rambling on and on and on. And it always amazes me how much I jibber jabber, and I wonder if that's a problem. My wife seems to think so. Any case, got it all in that system. No one just go eat and take a nap. Any case, thanks again. Like and subscribe. It's Amazon Day. Start your Amazon experience on my Amazon store and go buy whatever you want. It's all good. And yeah, Jensen's a good place to get some cheaper parts if you need parts. 365 Cycles is another place to get cheap parts. It's where I go to get the bulk stuff. So leveraging between those two, you can probably find something that's pretty decently. I've heard some other ones out there, but I think those are my go-to currently for price structure, from chains, cables, and so forth. But we're hanging in there. It's all kinds of weird. We're trying to keep a positive spin on everything, regardless of hardships with other companies that we're dealing with. I mean, I feel bad for them. A lot of this is we didn't want it, but here we are. So we got to navigate through it. So let's navigate through it together. You're here for me. I'm here for you. You guys have a great day. I got to go eat, and yeah, enjoy. Oh. How do I do that? Ah, there it is. Is my bike okay? That's bad. Oh, Aaron just handed me. Here, he emailed me. Sweet. Oh, thanks for shouting out. Sweet. Awesome. Oh, 365, I was even Prime Deal days. They're even leveraging that. Oh, they do sell on 365. They do sell on Prime. Interesting. Oh, Victoria accepted me as a. Oh no, that's somebody else. Never mind. Weird stuff. I didn't mean to critique your video. It's just noticed this seemed like a little lot. What do I know? I'm just a bike mechanic in a garage. All right, lunchtime. That should be enough footer. Have a wonderful day. All right, Bob, let's go get some lunch.